All right, Blake, we're back.
Yes.
We're back for the review of our current administration.
6 months in.
6 months in, man. 6 months flew by quick, didn't it?
It did. And today is, as we're recording this, is the 1 year anniversary of the assassination attempt on Trump. So
exactly today?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Does not seem like a year since that happened. But
did they ever figure out anything on that?
Not that they've told us.
I know. What do you think? What do you think off the top of your mind? Do you think it was orchestrated, or do you think it was just a lone wolf crazy man?
I lean toward not necessarily a lone wolf, but
heavily influenced.
Not any kind of. I don't really think it's a foreign operation necessarily. Maybe.
What about domestic?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Too
conspiratorial for you?
It just, yeah, I guess. I don't know. I don't have a feeling one way or the other. I mean, there's definitely some weird stuff with the assassin. Mm-hmm. You know, no silverware in his house, they say, and he was using these, communication apps, encrypted apps, and whatever. And it's like, there's some definite weird stuff, and I think we probably should get some answers on it. But right. I'm not automatically going to jump to, Iran was controlling this little nerdy kid from Pennsylvania or whatever.
Yeah. But it was weird. He didn't have any prior criminal background. He was walking around for a while. Everyone was kind of pointing him out. Well, everyone. Some people were pointing him out.
Right.
He was able to get
noticed.
He was able to get that close.
Right. It's
Secret Service have a hard time with sloped roofs.
Right. I don't know about no priors and that kind of thing. Like sometimes people just go crazy.
Hair.
Well, they just go crazy. I mean, they get. Especially we've seen it time and time again, these people are on antidepressant drugs or SSRIs or whatever, and it just fries their brain, and then they're just out of touch with reality, and then, they do something crazy, and it's like, but I guess they did just suspend a bunch of the Secret Service guys.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, without pay, and six or seven of them, I think that just released this week. People that were involved in the Butler, protection, have been kind of punished, I guess. So, maybe it's just a slow wheels of justice, finally churning, and we're starting to get some results. Maybe we'll get some more information, but it's just crazy that's been a year. I mean,
I think it'll probably fall off and we'll just forget about it like we always do.
Yeah, it could, especially since he won, and especially since he was, okay, minus a wound on the ear.
Right.
I think it'd be completely different if he,
it'd
been worse. Yeah. I think there would be a larger demand for answers, if that was the case.
So let me start off. Me and you started off, we've always had a couple of differences in opinions on things.
Right.
But me and you have been able to always come together and have a good discussion and be able to, discuss our opinions on what we believe. I was on board with Trump.
Yeah.
Okay. I was later than, some. But we talked about, the libertarian shift, more on the conservative libertarians endorsing Trump, Dave Smith, others as well. But we've all fallen off now. Okay. All of us. I tried to hang in there, man, to give him the benefit of the doubt, even though I didn't like we discussed some of the things in the bill that he had, the way he was going about immigration. Now the Epstein Files. I waited as long as I could, man. And I know some may be like, well, you hopped off too quick. But I mean, I think now, even with the Epstein stuff, was kind of the nail in the coffin for me. But I want to see your side of it and how you feel. Because I know you're a little mixed as well, but maybe you have some other, how you view things. And I've always appreciated that.
Am I happy with everything? No, definitely not.
Nor will we ever be with anybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is, and it's a problem in the libertarian sect. And I was in that circle, as a younger man, that they let perfect get in the way of good too often. There's some definite stuff in the big, beautiful bill that I definitely don't like. I'm very suspicious of, but at the same time, you have to cut deals, like Trump just can't, there is no line item veto either, like a lot of the state, I think Missouri has a line item veto for the governor. They pass a bill and he can literally just go, nope, not doing that, but I'll sign the rest of it. And so you have to cut, especially with the majorities that we have. I mean, we have like a 3-seat majority. There's going to be some bad shit in there because people are going to do it. On the immigration front, I mean, I'm okay with that. Wasn't the most pleased with what went on in Iran. I think the results of that have been the best that they could be so far. But initially I wasn't pleased with that. I mean, there is some in the Epstein Files. I don't think anybody's really happy with that, at least in the more online, younger conservative group.
Yeah. Definitely not Mundo.
Yeah. Just,
I've been seeing your comments on X with that.
Yeah. I mean, it's just, a lot of that is people don't understand. And I think,
but what's up with him though, man, on that? I don't get that. He's kind of he's a bright dude, but he gets a little
Mundo.
Yeah. Like you said, a little squishy on something.
Yeah. He's a little, I mean, he was brought up in I assume he's like my age or maybe a little younger, late 30s.
Right.
So you got to figure when he was getting out of college, it was 2000, George Bush era.
Right.
And he's been in that business. He was at Fox News in New York, you know, and so he's been around that culture. And, yes, he hopped on the Trump train because it was, I mean, what else is he going to do?
Right.
It's like, but there's still that, where they default back to 2005 Republican Party.
I guess I should have known he has Bill O'Reilly on his show.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like, I think Bill O'Reilly's one of the slimiest people ever, and it's like.
And he's able to have Mayor Lucas on.
Yeah.
Which is odd.
It's just, he's got a job.
I get it. Entertainment.
Yeah. And he's, I've had my, we've corresponded about Quentin Lucas, and why he does certain things he does. But at the same time, it's a lot of, like I said, default positions and then a lot of first order thinking about stuff, I think. He just put out a tweet about the city's getting sued again over some person that they fired. I think it had to do with like the Harrison Butker doxing or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like some people, like somebody that worked for the city, like somehow doxed Harrison Butker on a city account or something. Wow. And they got fired. Well, now that person is coming back and suing the city. And it's like, Pete Mundo's like, this is a frivolous lawsuit. We need to stand with Mayor Lucas about this. And it's like, Mayor Lucas is the guy responsible for hiring these activists in here that come in and do stupid stuff like this. And now the city's going to pay for it. You should ask him about that in your podcast and, on your show, why does this keep happening? What's your role in it? Instead of just going, I stand with Mayor Lucas against this frivolous lawsuit. Right. It's.
And I've listened to his show quite a bit since you've told me about it. And I've noticed his energy is different when he's not on the phone with him. And then as soon as he's like, well, we're going to talk to him in 10 minutes. And then it just kind of changes.
Yeah.
Now I've seen him and I get it because even myself, when I've had people with a difference in opinions, I'm not going to bash you or get crazy with you or call you names. Yeah. And I will listen to your side, But at the same time, it's like you still have to ask these questions in the way that you were saying before you came.
And if you're going to present yourself as the number one conservative on the radio in Kansas City, when you're conducting an interview with the mayor, you should. Like that should kind of be your lens that you're going after. And I just feel like he tries to play it straight journalist, maybe his questions come from the right a little bit, but the back and forth is more of a actual journalistic, he comes at it from a journalistic point of view as opposed to a partisan point of view, which would be okay if he didn't present himself as a partisan 98% of the time, when he's not doing that, and it's almost, you see it when he's with Republicans, he will push back a lot. Like he almost pushes back harder against the Republicans than he does people like Mayor Lucas, and that just rubs me the wrong way. I mean, if you want to be a news magazine show, then that's fine. But no, your show is labeled a conservative, Republican, show. And it's like, but as soon as you have a Democrat that's willing to come on, you start acting like you're 60 Minutes all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And you got to have some kind of integrity or something.
This is why I listen to people with not as many views or as much funding.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
because I feel like you get more truth behind it, as well as I'm sure even with, because they'll say, well, those people can come off with fake news and conspiracies and blah, blah, blah. But we've seen that in big media as well.
Yeah.
So what would, like, to me, that doesn't hold any merit.
Yeah.
So why is it wrong for me to listen to some of these people who are maybe funded by their followers? Or I mean, I look at that as more noble, because then they're able to be more free on what they say.
Right. Yeah.
Just the same thing with Pete.
There's always the risk of audience capture or financial capture. That's
what I'm worried about, those financial capture, because even with Pete right now with the whole Israel thing, it's like he's super anti-Semitism and blah blah blah. And what's crazy to me is that I didn't listen to him during the BLM shit, but I'm sure he shit all over BLM. Maybe I'm wrong.
Right.
But I have a feeling he probably did. And to me, I had a discussion with an individual when they were discussing, well, we can't have anti-Semitism. I was like, well, let's send 94 million to BLM then. And let's see how your thoughts on that.
Yeah. And the anti-Semitism thing is just crazy. Like, we have a relationship with Israel, of course. Right. And over the years, there's been questions raised about it. And when when somebody like Pete or Mark Levin or Ben Shapiro or any of these people, when somebody starts asking questions about how our government should interact with the government of Israel, and we start raising questions and going, hey, is this right? Is this fair? Is this
funding?
Are they being a good friend?
Influence. Yeah.
Yeah. Are they doing stuff that they shouldn't be in our country? Whatever. Anytime you start asking about that and you automatically say, you can't ask that, you're an anti-Semite. And it's like, what is that person going to do? Who's really coming to the conversation with an open mind? They're literally, we're not talking about Candace Owens or anything like that right now. I'm just talking about your regular everyday dude.
Exactly.
They start asking questions and going, hey, is this right? Is this fair? Is this whatever? And then you call them anti-Semitic, and it's like, whoa, like, what are you talking about?
Me asking why we fund Israel more than any other foreign nation in the world.
And what happens is that person goes, you're not coming at this from a common ground, or you're not coming in this good faith. I'm going to go somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And where do they go? They go to the people who are,
the Candace, the Nick Fuentes.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there who they have Israel derangement syndrome. Mm-hmm. I mean, there are those people there that it's just like Trump derangement syndrome. Anything Israel does is bad. Anything bad that happens is because of Israel. And that's just their default position. Right. Like, that's crazy to me. Like, I don't like those people. I don't listen to those people a lot, but then there's also the opposite, the Israel first people, who anything that you do to question Israel makes you a bad person. Anything that Israel does is automatically explained away, or, and like, I don't like either one of those groups,
right.
But
where did we used to see this?
But at the same time, people like Candace aren't going to call me a bad person for questioning, and I really don't. I mean, yes, there have been some attack, Tucker Carlson going after Mark Levin all the time. Like, maybe he oversteps his bounds and he's attacking Mark Levin a little hard. But as far as like your everyday person, somebody who listens to Candace and maybe questions her thinking is not automatically going to be called, some horrible name. She'll try to refute it.
Yeah.
And I think that puts them in a better spot than the Israel first people.
But that's what you said, though. She backs her arguments. Yeah. Like me, I listen to Candace, I listen to Nick, I listen to a lot of other people.
She will run to debate.
Yeah. I don't say I align with everything that they
Right.
discuss,
And
but they are openly discussing things that and giving evidence of in a timeline of all these occurrences
Yeah.
and how it started from 1948 into where we are now.
Right.
And that kind of raises a light bulb in my head. So if you don't want me to believe them, then the other side needs to come out with a better argument
Right.
and be like, no, this is what it is.
And
you're not being transparent, which is making me have to align
Yeah.
with these people because they are.
And it's a different version of the same thing the Democrats did. It's
That's what I was about to say. Yeah.
It's identity politics.
You're racist if you talk about if you go against BLM.
Yeah, if you point out that interactions with police are high, whatever,
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter stat, that you come out and say, well, maybe there's, issues here.
Right.
And you go, no, you can't even talk about that. You're racist.
Yeah.
That's the same thing.
If you say, why does 13% make up 50% of the crime or whatever the number is?
Yeah.
We can't discuss that.
Yeah.
Why can't we? That's just a stat.
But it's the same thing. And I think it's getting rejected. And the Israel first people, or the more Israel sympathetic people, I should say,
right.
They're making a big mistake. If that's something that they truly care about, because Israel's standing in America is, as far as approval, disapproval, it's just steadily declining. So if you don't start answering questions and making an argument, you're going to lose if things keep going on this track.
Yeah.
And, they're kind of, they're hurting themselves by just defaulting to the identity politics. It's just not, not good. And like I said, I don't like the Israel derangement people either. I don't like them. But when one side's calling you the equivalent of Hitler or whatever, or at least kind of leaning that way or hinting that that's what it is.
No, that's what they're calling them. Nazis.
And it's like, you're going to push people away just like the left did. And it's going to end up in bad things. We talked about this in, I think, our first podcast that we did. It's like, when you start going down that line and you push people to these corners, bad things can happen. Like, you will get some truly anti-Semitic stuff start to bubble up.
You're going to create racism.
Right.
Yeah.
You're going to just for the rebellious aspect of it. Like, oh, that guy says I can't do it. Fuck him.
Yeah.
I'm going to do it. And, you're getting that, and you're starting to see it, and a lot of it I support, like the free speech stuff, you can't say the word retard anymore. And it's like, fuck that. That's retarded.
Exactly.
Like some of that is good, I think. And I think it is good to see that pushback, but you're going to get things along the similar lines when it comes to anti-Semitism, and it's going to be ugly. And then we have to stop and fight it. And it's going to be, it's just going to be bad.
Yeah,
and I think, but I think you're the people who are trying to be sympathetic to Israel are the ones that are pushing people to those corners instead of embracing the debate. And I think it's a big misstep for them.
Yeah, it's like me. It's like I've seen there's people like that guy that went and shot those 2 Jewish people.
Yeah.
There's those people.
Yeah.
Okay. Who have the Israel derangement syndrome that we're discussing that are fucking crazy.
Yeah. And there's people driving them to that corner, corners too.
Yeah, exactly. Because we can't stop crazy. I know that the Dems were the poster childs of trying to nerf the world.
Right.
Okay. Now we're seeing it in the Republican side now on their side of what they believe needs to be nerfed. You can't stop that, guys. Right. What's going to stop that is transparency. Right. That's what's going to stop that. But now I'm getting aligned because I discuss these things.
Right.
With those type of people, because that's what gets pulled out of me.
Yeah.
Do you want Jewish people to die? No, I don't want Jewish people. I don't want anybody to fucking die, man. I don't want Palestinians to die.
Yeah.
Don't want Jewish people to die. I want to discuss what these elite government organizations are doing, and why are they doing it, and can we please fucking stop? Because the only ones who are paying consequences are normal everyday citizens on both sides of the field.
Right.
That's all I want. That's all I want to discuss.
Yeah.
I want to discuss, hey, Israel, why are you doing it? Hey, Palestine, why are you doing it? America, why the fuck are we even involved in this?
Yeah.
Like, that's what I want to discuss.
Right. And I think there's a way to discuss that.
Yeah.
And, we both listened to the Scott Horton and Lex Friedman.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a very, 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 very good conversation. You know, it got hostile.
Other than, I know Horton has
hostile.
an issue. Yeah. And he calmed down on the Tucker Carlson, maybe because there was nobody he was debating.
Right.
But
Scott gets wound up.
Yeah, I know.
And that other guy did too.
And I wish he wouldn't. And I text you. I understand you being, I don't know how long he's been doing this, 20, 30
Long
years.
time.
Yeah. So I could understand the frustration.
Right.
I mean, I'm fucking frustrated.
Yeah,
I've only been looking into this shit hardcore for like maybe the last 6-7 years or whatever it may be. And I'm fucking frustrated. So I understand his side on that. But you have to be able to deliver it in a way where people can take it. Yeah. You know, like be able to absorb it. But I do also say this.
And he's like, well, listening to him talk about the Middle East and our involvement in it is like drinking from a fire hose. Like you're just so much coming at
information.
You. Yeah. And, you know, I think it's frustrating for him that people can't digest what he's, you know, I think it's frustrating for him at the same time.
Do you think it's that, or do you think it's the one next to him who he feels like is just spewing propaganda? And it's like,
could be, but like, I thought that other guy, I don't know anything about that.
I don't know anything. I thought he had a good argument.
Yeah. I thought he did well. You know, they both got a little snarky here and there. Mm-hmm. And I thought Lex actually did a pretty good job. Anytime that would happen, he would try to bring it back, reset the conversation.
He got a little emotional at one point, but it was all kind of,
But like, I think like those conversations are good.
I'm a fucking American. Or he said some
shit.
Yeah.
He was, you know, like, because he's an immigrant too, you know, and, you know, Scott, I kind of lost what I was going to say there, but you know, it's those conversations I think are more of what we need. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that guy didn't I don't remember that guy ever accusing Scott of being anti-Semitic that whole time.
Yeah.
But you look at like Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz's interview, and it's like that was Ted Cruz's default deflection.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like
the backing of religion to support Israel is insane.
Yeah.
And how many people have came out and made videos speaking on what are you talking about?
Yeah.
And they'll read off in Genesis on what it actually says.
Yeah.
And somehow they're using it. We have to protect the nation of Israel. And it's like, what? What are we talking about?
And like Tucker makes a good argument. Like, why is that your number one vote? Like you like Ted Cruz literally said in there, like,
bro, we got GoFundMes, and you guys are you're talking about churches. Churches are like the biggest charitable. Like they contribute more to charity than most things. So then just go through your church and give them your money to go send to Israel instead of taking my tax dollars.
A lot of people do. You know,
that's fine.
Like,
I have no problem with that.
You know, there is, I'm not the most devout Christian or anything, but
same.
Like there is a religious interest,
right?
Because of all of the holy places that are in Israel.
Yeah. And
I think it is, you know, there is a Christian aspect of, we would rather have these people in charge of that and keeping those places safe, you know? So I think they're like, to just dismiss the religious aspect is not quite fair, but at the same time, I get what your point is, but at the same time, when you're an elected official representing the United States and you say, my number one goal getting in the Senate was to be the number one friend of Israel.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, what? Like
or the amount of money you receive from
doesn't
AIPAC.
Matter what the country, you know, we wouldn't accept that from any country.
Why is AIPAC even a thing?
Well, it can be a thing. I don't have a problem with it being a thing. I just think they should probably register as a foreign, you know, they make the deflection that, it's all it's American funded. And it's like, but it doesn't matter. Like,
well, I also think too, I think if you're in a government position, you should disclose if you are dual citizenship. Yeah. And I think Massey did a great job by trying to introduce that bill, because I don't know why that would be an issue at all. If you have dual allegiances, if you have an allegiance to another country as well, and this is why I didn't.
Well, that like Brian Mast, that's his name, Brian Mast. He literally wore his IDF uniform on the floor of the Congress, and it's like,
there you go.
What? Like,
is he American?
Yeah, he's in the House of Representatives, so he's an American citizen.
Man? How are we America first?
He served in the IDF,
and I'm sorry, and I understand like when Lex took the immigrant thing the wrong way, but we got to be able to discuss these things. Right. There is a chance if you are from another country that you could be corrupted by the country that you come from.
Yeah, which one do you prioritize?
Which one? Yeah, exactly.
At least we should be able to ask that question. Yeah,
you know, because we've seen the thing in the whole immigration stuff. I mean, we've seen people out there flying Mexico flags. Right. You know, it's like, where is your allegiance? I understand that you have pride in your culture, but at the same time, we're discussing what is going on in the country that you live in.
Right.
So where do you align at?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Right,
what are we doing here?
Yeah, it's not a good look.
Yeah,
it's once again, it's a self-defeating thing.
But people just get so emotional on what is tied to them, and they can't discuss these things objectively.
Yeah.
There's things that, that I feel tied to. I mean, my kids are Mexican. I'm half Mexican. Like I understand, but I have to be able to back away from that.
Right.
I have to be able to look at this objectively. What are they discussing? How is this hurting the country? And when you are simply hiding behind the fact of we need to keep people here to use for cheap labor because Americans won't. Well, I'm sorry, but Mike Rowe had a fucking 10-year stretch on dirty jobs. Okay. Right. I think we've shown that Americans will do the job. They just won't do it for immigrant labor rates.
And
not even illegal immigrant labor rates.
And I think that's a lot of what you just said is, there's definitely a populist energy in the country right now on both sides, but you have the left comes from it as work is a bad thing. Like work is something that you shouldn't like to do. And if you don't want to do it, you shouldn't have to do it. Mm-hmm. The left comes at it from it's the rich guy's fault all the time. That's their default. And they come at it from the point that America and our traditions and values aren't good. They're stolen, they're corrupted. Yeah. They're corrupted in some way. Mm-hmm. But then you have the populist on the right, and it's very patriotic. It's very work is a necessity, and it's a pride, and it is your way to be free. Your opportunity to earn a living on your own is what that gives you freedom. Like that is kind of where they approach it. And it's like, they're both trying to solve the same problem. It's just,
their ideas on it differ.
They're so far apart. Right. And I think that's one reason why the Democrats are kind of in a bad spot is as far as approvals. They might actually do somewhat well electorally in the midterms, especially with the missteps we kind of talked about earlier. Yeah. With, especially things that are upsetting younger voters. Yeah. You can't, the Epstein thing, a lot of people are going, it's not a big deal. Nobody cares about it. Pete Mundo, the older.
I don't know if that's a lot of people anymore.
Old sect, once again, George W. Bush voter.
Right.
Nobody cares about this. Nobody in my circle talks about it. And it's like, okay, well, everybody in my circle talks about it.
And I'm Gordon Ryan coming out about it. And it's out of all people, I'm like, and he's a huge fucking Trumper.
And it's like, and then you can't have the point of view that, okay, this was the podcast presidency. Trump won the presidency by going on Theo Vaughn and Andrew Schultz and Rogan, and J.D. Vance was out there, hitting that pavement, really trying to cater to those guys. You can't say, we need you guys. We're going to target you and we want to address your concerns, and then get into office and go, oh yeah, your concerns, they're stupid. They didn't matter. You can't, and then expect those people to just still come out and vote for you. They might not vote for the Democrats because I don't think they will, but they just won't show up. But if you,
hopefully it's the libertarians.
Maybe, but they
or Elon's new party.
Yeah.
America First Party.
Yeah. But, I really don't think they'll do that either. They just won't show up. Yeah. Because there's no
Elon to make another party, I think is stupid. You told me you text me one time discussing how multiple parties can kind of cause more disruption than good, which I've never thought of. And I've been kind of thinking about it, and I understand what you mean by that because it splits so many people up.
Our system is, especially on the federal level, our system is really made for a two-part.
I know, but the two parties are failing us.
I know.
I mean, to me, they're just both socialists arguing about where to use our money.
You do what Trump did, and you go in and hijack it. You take it over.
I know, but now what? They hijacked him now, I feel like.
Well, maybe. Or maybe he's doing the best he can do. I really think Elon, and I think the biggest problem that third parties have in this country is they go too big.
Mm-hmm.
They try to do too much at once. And they're going up against a very, very powerful machine.
I'm fine with two parties. Well, can we have Republican versus Libertarian and just kick the Dems out?
Yeah,
I mean, because the Democrats are just, it's nonsense.
Yeah.
It's nonsense at this point. It's almost like the Republicans need the Democrats in there to try to show how much better they are.
Yeah.
It's like they want that. It's like Batman needs a Joker.
Yeah,
you know?
There is a talking point that especially in the Republican circles, that the Republicans liked being the minority. They like being the minority party. They like being able to go, look at all the bad stuff the Democrats have done. You elect us, we'll change it. But it's easy for them to be the minority. They don't have to do anything. They don't actually have to pass stuff. They just go, oh, that's bad, that's bad, that's bad. We voted against all this bad stuff. And then the Democrats will pass bad stuff. The voting public will turn and go, okay, fix it. And the Republicans go, yeah, we really, nothing we can do. And then they wonder why they lose. And it's just this cycle that, but.
You think it's intended?
I just think it's a weakness.
I mean, at this point, Blake, really? You don't think it's some sort of orchestrated political theater?
Oh, I think it's definitely political theater. I just don't know how orchestrated it is.
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is people out for
themselves,
financial reasons,
the corporate ladder,
political reasons,
the federal
legacy reasons.
Yeah,
setting your family up, like things that we all prioritize. They're just doing it at a level in a place that affects millions and millions of people.
If you want to see it at the start, look at Lucas. They're always talking about him trying to go to D.C. and he's always like, well, if they'd want to call me up there, I'd definitely take the offer. And even though I think Trump won't and blah, blah, blah. So it's like, it is. It's just the federal, it's like what they say in corporations. You're trying to climb the corporate ladder. These guys are trying to climb the federal ladder.
Right. And it's they want prominence. A lot of them do. Mm-hmm. They want to be famous. They want to have their name in the papers. They want to have their face on TV. It's Hollywood for ugly people. That was the whole thing.
Celebrities sell their soul. That saying. Yeah.
There's a lot of that going on. Yeah. And I think that drives a lot of where we've gotten to with our debt, with the state of our country, with our healthcare, with all these things. It's just too many people trying to look good instead of do good. And it leads us to bad spots. And I think, you take Elon's party. Like, I think if Elon really wanted to forget the presidency, all you're going to do is fuck things up there. But you go to the top 5 red districts, the ones that have the biggest Republican majority, and you go to the top 5 Democrat, and you say, you get in there and you run a candidate and you say, listen, I'm not a Democrat, but I'm not George W. Bush Republican. And literally just kind of hammer that message, go to the colleges, and you say, or maybe even try to get the DNC to drop their candidate out. You know what I mean? Like, don't run a candidate in this, you don't win. And the Democrats don't put money in those districts. There is no Sam Graves, our district that we're in. It's like a R+40 district or whatever. The Democrat, they don't put any money behind the Democrat because there's no chance to lose. Elon comes in and puts money behind a different candidate and said, then he might be able to steal 2, 3, 4 seats. That can make a big difference, especially right now where the Republicans have a 3-seat majority. You take 3 Republicans away and put them to Elon. Well, now Elon is
because look how
he's in the catbird seat. He's the one that they can really, put their foot down and go, no, we're not. We will vote for your stuff if you do this, this, this. And they can be the deal maker. And I just think third parties too often, they try to shoot for the stars and they shoot themselves in the foot. And then, like I said, with the structure of our party, it allows the left wing to come in. The one thing about the left wing voter, it takes a long time for them to move out of that party. They don't just go, oh, I'm going to vote this time for the Republican. It's like there has to be a lot of things that push them out of the party.
Yeah.
And we've seen that. There has been a lot of people getting pushed out of the party.
You said in the left-wing party?
In the left,
but
the Democrats.
But we see it on the right as well?
Yeah, but I'll get to that in a second. But it takes a long time for people to get pushed out. And once they're out, they're kind of out, and we've seen that over the last 10 years with, the trans stuff, with the immigration stuff, with Obamacare, with whatever. There's been a lot of stuff that have been pushed at taxes.
Even on people that make money. Yeah.
Even like Ukraine, the Democrats used to be the anti-war party, and then they come out and they're waving Ukrainian flags on our floor because we're giving them
and
much
old
money.
Dems are like, what the fuck? I thought we were against
right. But like I said, it takes them a long time. The Republicans have the opposite issue. They're almost somewhat libertarian in the fact that, oh, you just raised the debt ceiling, I'm out. And it's like, where are you going to go? You know what I mean? For one, like, what is the other party offering you? Are you just going to sit on the sidelines? What does that make better? And it's like, there's a lot of that in the Republic. There's a lot of people that get pushed out of the Republican Party very quickly, or maybe they don't get pushed out; they just leave on their own,
or don't vote.
I mean, yeah, or don't vote. They protest. The Democrats will go protest out on the street. The Republicans will protest by staying at home.
Yeah, but let me ask you this: then, how do we get those people in? Because look at what Massey's doing, and look at what Trump's doing to him, talking about primarying against him.
Yeah,
it's like, so how do we get those people in if they're going to be?
I think
targeted?
A lot of that was signaling on Trump's part. I don't think there's any way Massey loses unless he decides not to run.
I get that, but why even say that? Because you're discouraging
trying to get everybody else in line.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So how do we get these people in? Like you said, if Elon wants to put money into these seats and to be able to get some people in that are maybe more objective on some of these things that are more America first,
right?
How are we going to get them in if they're just going to be tried to put in line?
Well, you don't allow them to. That would be the benefit
if you get more of them, then they can't.
Right.
Because look how close those votes are.
Right. That would be.
It's usually like what 1 or 2 votes is what sways it.
Right. In the Senate, that had J.D. Vance had to come in and be the tiebreaker.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was after they had to wheel and deal with Lisa Murkowski. That's what I'm saying though. Elon, if he could just get 3 people, but the way you do that is not going, I'm a third party. I'm this. This different thing. I'm a mix. I'm right in the middle.
I'm going to change everything.
You're not going to do that. I think what you need to do is you need to say, listen, I'm not a Democrat. Don't vote for them for sure. Mm-hmm. But I want to get in here and fix these problems or attack Sam Graves from the right. You know what I mean? Attack everybody from the right. Go in and target a Democrat seat.
Right.
But attack it from the moderate right. Go, hey, we're anti-immigration. We want to fix the debt. We don't want to tax the billionaires, whatever. We're against crime. You just go to the right of those people.
Right.
But you don't do it, and you say, I don't want this seat to go to the Democrat. Like on Elon's, I'm talking about Elon specifically, right? Mm-hmm. He's definitely not in line with the Democrats economically, on the debt, on spending, on war, on the trans thing. Like he's not with them at all. So you have to approach it from districts where you're either trying to unseat them or that you're going, hey, I'm targeting this race because I don't think that the Democrat can win, even with me in this race.
Right.
And I think if he approaches it that way, he could get some influence, but I don't see nothing about Elon tells me he's going to take that route. He's going to go big. I think a lot of, Elon going to the rallies and all that stuff at Trump. And you got to remember, Elon didn't endorse Trump till after he got shot. Like that's when, so we're talking from July to November. That's how long Elon was on the Trump train.
A lot of the people that swayed the vote didn't hop on till the very late.
Right.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, I think a lot of Elon was out there on stage jumping around. He thought that all that stuff was for him. Those cheers were for him.
Mm-hmm. Well, it kind of was when he discussed Doge.
But then,
that was huge. No one had ever heard of.
Elon goes to Wisconsin and tries to campaign for the Supreme Court seat there, the Wisconsin Supreme Court seat, and he lost. And it's like the people didn't come out for Elon. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's for Trump.
Yeah, I think there's a disconnect on, once again, with Elon, with what is possible, with what is good and what is possible. It's you can have all the best intentions in the world, but if you don't approach it from a way that can actually work, that you can actually convince people, that you can actually win, then what good? Then you're not doing anything.
Right.
You're just out there screaming into the wind. And I think that's a lot of the problem that people have with Massey. The people that have pride. I love Thomas Massey because I believe him. And I believe that he's principled and he's not a grandstander like they try to make him out to be. But I think a lot of people look at Massey and they go, dude, like, you're just screaming in the wind. Like, you're not doing anything. And it's like Massey goes, hey, I just compromised a year and a half ago. And I said, I'll vote for this if I put this, proposal in there that if we do another omnibus or it was another continuing resolution. If we do another continuing resolution, there's a 1% cut across the board in government, defense, everything. Made it into the bill. He's like, okay, good. Let's see if we can get this done. Because you're supposed to pass like 12 individual bills, spending bills. And he gets in there and Mike Johnson becomes Speaker of the House. And what do? They pass an omnibus. And he says, no, it's the same thing. He just like negates it, and then Thomas Massey's like, okay, so much for making deals, and so it pushes him. But a lot of people are just going, that he just screams into the wind, And I think, and he will vote no. Like he will not be bullied.
Stands on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And like Rand Paul,
he has a debt clock on his fucking suit jacket.
Yeah. Rand Paul he's along those lines, but even like the big, beautiful bill, he said if he became the deciding vote, he would vote for it. If it come down to him.
Rand said that?
Yep.
Oh God.
And he actually
What about Ron?
Well, Ron's he's not in the Congress, but
he's got a podcast.
Yeah, he probably did not like it. But, and Rand went to, when they were trying to look for that last vote, they needed Rand Paul or Murkowski, or I think Ron Johnson was the other one maybe. They needed them to vote. So they started, and Rand Paul said, hey, this is my deal. I'll vote for it if you do this. Mm-hmm. And they're like, no, we're going to take Murkowski's deal. And it's like, so it's like he will go in there and deal a little more than Massey. And I think that's why he doesn't get the flack that Massey gets. But it's, you need those people. And I would rather have that than what the Democrats have, where everybody just in line, attention, how are we voting today, boss? Yeah. We're voting yes. Okay. We're all voting yes. Yeah. Done. No discussion. I think that makes us the healthier party. But it is, I just don't think that Elon running a presidential candidate that's going to get 3 or 4%. And more than likely of those 4%, 3 of those % are going to come from the Republican side. All you're doing is empowering the Democrats and all the things that you really, really hate.
Right. Hey, I didn't ask you real quick. Audio coming in through fine? Okay. Sorry. I do believe there's going to be probably a split, though. Don't you see that happening?
In the Republican Party? I think maybe if it is, it's going to be along the same lines as what Trump did.
I was just trying to think of, this is my thoughts. And I understand that, I understand your idea on you have to compromise, which is, I'm kind of surprised that you like Massey because he doesn't really compromise.
No, I do like Massey because I was a libertarian. Right. And it's one thing.
But he doesn't compromise like you're saying, at least Trump is doing. He's trying to work with what we have.
Right.
But at the same time, he's kind of selling out on what he campaigned
I think we can have both.
Yeah.
I think, and you have to remember, Massey is what government should be, how our government was designed. Massey does not care about the population of the United States. He cares about his district. He listens to his district. If his district doesn't like the way he votes, they can vote for somebody else. They haven't. Massey's been in there for 10, 12 years. Mm-hmm. And you know, whereas a lot of these other people, they try to play to a national level, you know, as a representative of the House. Trump plays for you know, he got elected by the whole of the country. And it's like, so their priorities are different, you know? And so like, yes, there should be squabbles along those lines, but it's, it's become too, you know, focused on the party as opposed to my district. And we talk about the spending bills. The reason that the 12 spending bills should be individual is because that's how you get compromise between the two parties.
You said 10 spending bills? Or
there's supposed to be 12 individual spending bills.
Was
so they're
that
supposed
in
to be
the BBB bill or what?
I don't think so, because it might be. But like,
well, I have it here. I want to talk about it.
That's what an omnibus is. When they say you hear
multiple bills together.
When you hear the omnibus, it's all those spending bills lumped into one.
Which I'm totally against. And what's your idea? What's your thought on that?
Because I'm totally against it too.
I would rather have single issue bills. Yeah.
And the reason the single issues bills work out better when we're talking about defense.
Do they do them?
They're supposed to. They used to. They're supposed to. But they
but
get
they're
around
doing this for tactics.
They get around,
like
right.
Yeah.
And because what happened if you did 12 individual spending bills? Let's take the defense bill, defense spending. You put that forward. You're going to get people like Thomas Massey and Rand Paul and those people teaming up with AOC and Ilhan Omar.
Yeah.
And so you have to compromise. You have to get compromise if you do that. When you put all 12 of them together, then it becomes a party line vote. And then you get polarization. And it's a tactic to get stuff through without having to actually do the hard work of government.
But to me, you're just manipulating your own citizens.
Maybe. Yeah.
I mean, are you not?
I mean,
you're putting in stuff that you don't like, that we don't like.
Right.
But you're putting in stuff that we do like.
Right.
In order to get the stuff that you want passed.
Yes.
Not you, but government.
Now, granted, you're going to have the same thing in the 12 individual bills. You know, you will have, you know, once again.
When it's just, can we increase spending to the Pentagon?
Right.
That's a bill, right?
Well, you have to divvy it out. You know, does that make sense?
On what it's going to be?
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
And so the thing is the 12 spending bills, you're going to get more bipartisan compromise, which is okay. The Democrats are going to get some things that they like. Some Republicans are going to get some things they like. They're both going to not get some stuff that they want. That's the compromise. The way we have it now, just like this big, beautiful bill,
right.
All the compromising is inter-party compromising. The Republicans don't have to, when they do an omnibus bill, the Republicans don't have to consult with the Democrats at all. They just shut them out. Nope, don't need your votes. All of our compromises are in our party. And so that's what they get around. I don't either. Yeah, I don't like I don't like it, but that's what we've, and it's important. That's why I like Massey, because he's trying to, for one, he's very good about educating the public about why those things are necessary and how Congress works. You know, he called it what's going to happen. It was last year, I think, maybe around this time or whatever. They were passing some bill. What's going to happen? They signed a CR, I think, continuing resolution, which just basically means we're just going to do the same amount of spending. We're just going to extend it out for another 6 months or whatever.
Hey, could you leave it on 3 real quick, Caesar, and shut that light off for me? I'm sorry. Hold on.
You're all right.
I didn't prepare myself. I need to have a fucking checklist. All right. My bad. What were you saying?
Don't remember. We were talking about Massey, that he's very good about educating the public, and they were trying to pass a CR, and which mainly is just an extension. And he says, let me tell you how this is going to go down. Right. We've passed this. It expires on December 21st. He said, so what's going to happen? We're all supposed to go home for Christmas. We're going to come in here and we're not going to work on these 12 bills. We're going to get up against this deadline, and they're going to say, if you want to go home for Christmas, you got to sign this CR. And it happens. And, you know, so that's his role, I think. I really think he is an important figure. And I think he's okay with taking the heat. I don't think it bothers him. I mean, I assume he doesn't like it, but
dude lives in a F-250 with a camper shell on it.
Yeah,
I think he's cool.
His house is off the grid.
Yeah,
he designed his own
electrical
grid.
If you can speak to Theo Von, who I love, I think he's a great guy.
Yeah,
and I actually appreciate him coming out and discussing more on these topics. But like, he's like one of us, just a normal dude, you know. And you could say even maybe a little bit like, he's probably not even as knowledgeable as some of the things that we're discussing. You know what I mean? Because like he's said that's not really his thing, but he does see things that aren't right, which I think a majority of America sees.
Right.
And Thomas Massey went on, and I actually wasn't expecting much out of that podcast, and was very surprised. Like the way that he was able to explain things to him. I mean, God, if you had put Scott on there, I mean, goddamn, Theo's head would have blown up. You know, like it's too much. So. I do appreciate Massey for like being able to just have a discussion with just the common folk and be able to explain like, this isn't right, this is right, and this is why I don't vote on or don't vote yes on these things. Yeah,
he will explain every vote he makes.
Yeah,
and I like those guys. Tim Burchett's another guy. He's from Tennessee, I believe. He literally does videos all the time. Like it's him walking out of the Capitol building going, hey, we voted on this, this, and this. This is how I voted and why. Right. You know, he's literally reading down a list of the stuff they voted on, you know. Yeah. And like, I think that's good. And it's easy to do in today's age. You can literally make a video on your Twitter and shoot it out and people can see who and why you voted.
Which is why I don't understand why the Trump administration is doing what they're doing on the Epstein stuff. We have thousands of clips of all of your team discussing that there was a client list, even bond to your fucking self, you know, like why now saying I misspoke just seems like a cop out to me. But on the big, beautiful bill. So I ended up printing out what it was. So we got Title I, agriculture, nutrition, which is USDA and SNAP, agriculture and rural investment, defense, Homeland Security and border immigration.
That's the big one.
Yeah, health and human services, taxation and economics, judicial, regulatory, environmental and energy, which I heard that one's going to be a fucking a whole deal in itself of whether or not they're going the correct way on what was it that we were discussing? Here in Kansas City, we're having that issue too with the whole energy deal. I'd have to go back to, there's so much shit, man. It's hard to fucking keep track of everything. Budget, but the people who that is their job, you do not have that excuse. That's your fucking job. Me and you work at 9 to 5 and we're trying to keep up with all this shit. We got environment, or I already said that one, budget deficit, debt ceiling, and education student loans being the last. So like out of those things, I mean, like you said, immigration is going to be the biggest one where they did receive a lot of funding.
They upped their funding to help with,
which we're starting to see Black Hawk helicopters flying into fucking strawberry fields and shit, going crazy.
Strawberry or weed?
Or weed? No, weed. Yeah, it was weed. Yeah, weed fields. But, why are kids working at weed fields? I've seen Homeland Security right on their X.
It's
because I guess there were some underage people there.
And I think they said there was 10 of them that were minors and 8 of them were unaccompanied.
I thought we weren't going after agriculture. What happened? I'm confused on this. Trump doesn't want to go after agricultural or hotels or restaurants. He says he'd like to.
Okay, so I think it's important that we recognize that it was a marijuana field. Okay.
So it's different.
Like, I mean, let me get there. Mm-hmm. What if there's some kind of cartel link to this field? Mm-hmm. You know, what if they are in cahoots somehow with the Mexican cartels who we've designated as terrorist organizations?
But we don't know that yet.
What if we knew that there were unaccompanied minors working at this field? Does that make a difference? Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, people just go, oh, they're targeting farmers. And it's like, well, no, they might be targeting other things. It just happen to be at a farm. You know what I mean? Like, I think you just can't.
Yeah, I think they're
play
saying
into those
MS-13 or something like that. Or,
maybe.
I don't know. Somebody was saying, Democrats saying MS-13 doesn't wake up at 6 a.m. to work or some shit. I don't know.
Bullshit.
Either way, I mean, they're gang members that have jobs. But either way, and I think I've discussed this with you before, my thought process on how to go about dealing with the illegal immigration. I think instead of and actually I seen from the lady that you recommended, she had a post. I can't remember her name. You gave me a list of people that I should contact, which she agreed to come on. So I had to get her to come on.
Camellia? Is it Camellia?
Maybe. I have her in my X messages. But she put out a stat saying that she doesn't believe that the government should go after companies for hiring illegal workers. And I do. Yeah. So I'd like to have a discussion on, and I understand her thought process on that. Camellia. Yeah. I understand. Well, she hasn't gotten back to me. I got to reach out to her again. It's been some time.
She's busy.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure she is busy. Yeah, my bad. Yeah, I forget. People got lives. People got jobs. But no, I understand her thought process on that because we do have E-Verify. We do have these things, but we know you can work around those things. Yeah. I've seen it firsthand. I know these things can be done.
I think we have to separate. Okay, we're hiring this people. They have some kind of, they are getting entered in the system. The taxes are coming out of their paycheck. I think that's completely different than getting paid cash under the table at a not minimum wage. That's why I think those are totally two different things. I think they both need addressed, but I think one should be addressed quicker than the other.
Yeah.
I'm totally with you.
But that's what goes into my tier system.
Right.
So you have a tier system. We first go after all the violent ones. Right. That's tier 1.
Yep.
Tier 2, we start going after people under the table, and then you go down the tiers of leaving the last that are actually contributing the best way that they can.
Yep.
Unfortunately, they weren't able to go through the avenues of the legal process, which I think needs to be reformed. We need to take a look at that because I think it's been what I've read 70 years since they've actually
probably.
You know how government is. I mean, they're always fucking 20 years behind on shit, except for military. Which it's kind of a good thing, kind of a, whatever, we could debate that, but it's, but yeah, so I just, if we had that tier system, we give time for people to be able to collect their funds, get set up to when they actually do have to go back, that's what happens.
Like you said, I think, and you're seeing it with, self-deportations, it's way easier if somebody just leaves than you having to round them up, go through whatever process and get them out.
Costs less.
And they've done good on that. I think I read just a couple weeks ago that that 1 million people have already deported, that they're just left.
That number was heavily debated though.
Maybe.
Yeah. Because I remember, what was that lady's name who said that?
I don't remember.
Fuck. I thought you would know. Blonde. I can't
Caroline
remember.
Levitt?
I don't know. I don't remember.
But
maybe it was because she said that, and I looked up that million. But that's very debated on how they got that number because, and how do you even count that? That's the problem with stats and poll and how do we fucking know?
Right.
I mean, we got to go off of something. I get it, but still be a little skeptical, hippo eyes on that.
It's but it's I'm with you. I think that yes, we do need to take a look at employment and. I'm with you on the tier thing as well.
Because we know. I mean, this man himself. I mean, Caesar, you see it a lot. I mean, he knows as well, that people are using immigrant labor not because illegal immigrant labor, not because Americans won't do the job. It's to cut a pathway for them to increase their profit for their business.
Yeah, and my dad and I were actually talking about this. You hear the phrase "jobs Americans won't do." And in my line of work, I entered the work, let's say when I was 18. So that's when I entered the workforce, 2002. Okay. And I worked in the same industry, mainly residential, cabinetry, construction. And you go to a job site and you say, oh, in 2002, there's a painting crew. It's a dad his brother and their kids.
Small business,
are painting. The guys putting the roof on. 2 guys, from the area, all these trades. And they were all done by citizens. There was no Spanish being, for lack of a better qualification or whatever, like you didn't hear that. And then now you go to a job site in 2025 and the painting crew is almost all Spanish speaking. They might have 1 or 2 guys that are the communicators.
The foreman,
yeah. The roofing crews, same way. A lot of the inside trim work stuff, I wouldn't say that's as big a deal, but a lot of the outside work is done that way. And it's like, you keep saying these are jobs Americans won't do. False. I've seen them done by Americans 20 years ago.
They just won't do it at that cost.
Yeah.
That's it.
And once again, I think it's a lot of what I talked about earlier about the left wing. They think a lot of work is beneath them. They have this elitist view of work.
Yeah, look at your schools. Go to college. How much do they push Vo-Tech on people or career trades?
Not as much anymore.
That's what I'm saying. So don't just say we need illegal immigrant workers to fill the void because Americans are too lazy and won't. Maybe see of how we've been bringing up our kids the last 30 years.
And you look, what do you think the number one immigrant employed field is?
Probably construction
or agriculture.
Yeah.
Okay, agriculture. Of all the jobs in agriculture, it's I think less than 25% are held by foreign-born people. So that's the false premise right there. Evidently Americans will do these jobs because 75% of those jobs are held by Americans.
Drive out to Smithville. You'll see some farmer, some dude, some American guy out
on his fucking
combine.
Our farming in this area is different than farming strawberries or oranges or whatever.
It's a different hand picked.
A lot of it's
machinery.
Right. But at the same time, how much is the access to cheap labor a hindrance to technology that could maybe solve those problems? Does that make sense?
Dude, but that's scary for everybody.
Yeah.
Technology.
Yeah. But, I've posted a few times where I see people making these arguments about immigrant labor and how, the economic hit is going to be, catastrophic for these industries or whatever. And I'll just write on there as Democrats said the same thing in the 1860s. You know what I mean? They were making these same arguments that
for slaves.
Our cotton production is going to go down the tubes if you get rid of our slaves.
Then the cotton gin came out.
And it's but they're making very, very similar arguments. Our industry won't survive if we get rid of these illegal immigrants that we're paying low. And it's
the only difference now is that they paid them in housing and abused them and did all the things they did. I'm sure not everyone, but and now the only difference is they give them a little bit of green paper and work them 16 hours a day probably, and we're helping them. Though.
Yeah,
it's not slavery. It's not modern day. It was just helping them.
Yeah, and they want them counted just like the Democrats did. And they want them counted for congressional representation too, just like they did their slaves, and it's there's a lot of similarities there, but and I don't want to I know I made the point of comparing people, saying that people are Nazis if they're asked questions. I'm not saying that the Democrats are literally slave owners from the ATC. I'm making a funny point. But.
No, but they need to look at that. I mean, not saying it's okay to discuss the comparison. Yeah. We're not saying it's exactly the same. But we're saying the way that question
your own argument a little bit.
The way we're looking at it as if saying it's okay. And I'm completely I'm very respectful to the people that do that line of work.
Yeah.
Okay. My thing is that I understand your argument of, well, they don't have anything else. If they go back, they're not going to, I get that.
Right.
But you bringing them over here, when you're, like we said, taking away jobs from other people, and then 2, they're still doing backbreaking work for low wages. Yes, they may be able to live a little better than where they're coming from. But no, you need to get to the root of the problem.
Yes.
And the problem is those countries not taking care of their people and giving them.
And the remittances, there's I don't know what the percentage of it, but I would say that our employing of illegal immigrants from Mexico and them sending back money to Mexico is a big thing in the Mexican.
Right now, it's not even Mexico. It's Central Americans now. That's
I'm just using Mexico.
Influx. Yeah.
But, for a long time it was Mexico.
Yeah.
Evidenced by all the Mexican flags in California. But they, a large proportion of the Mexican economy is driven by people sending money back. And it's like, well, now you're just extracting from our country.
Right.
You're coming in, you're getting all the benefits,
it's going to
but then you're not putting anything back into the system. You're sending it to this other system. And, that rubs people the wrong way.
Which maybe makes sense why Mexico turns an eye to it.
Yeah, exactly. Or promotes it in a lot of
cases. Or
allows
it. Because how did 20 million people get over here in the first place?
Right.
They had to cross 2 borders.
Yeah. And, it's why you see I believe in the Big Beautiful Bill, originally they had a remittance tax. So anytime that you were sending money out of the country to Mexico or whatever, it was getting taxed to try to combat some of that.
Oh, okay.
Well, they had to wheel and deal. I think it either got struck totally or it got whittled down to 1% or something.
But still, that doesn't help the economy. That just helps federal government.
Yeah.
That's not helping the mom and pop shops that it would have been used at. Or
it's you can look at taxes 2 different ways.
Right.
But taxes can be a deterrent. You know what I mean?
I get that. Use it as a tool to get people to stop. Yeah,
right. Stop doing this behavior. They did it with smoking. They did it.
Well,
they do it with all kinds of stuff.
They're not going, which they are because they live there. But if that money was to stay here, it would go to the mechanic shop down the street. It would go to the store down the street or the restaurant down the street.
Or it would go to, these people, I don't want to get into stereotypical tropes, but instead of living 3 families to one house, we have 1 family in 3 houses. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so that money gets spread out to.
But stereotypes are for a reason. That does happen.
Right. Yeah.
And that's okay to be discussed.
Yeah. And but you know what I mean? Yeah. It's you spread it out that way too, that you live a more American centric, traditional American family life. And then
which we're losing.
And that benefits the community and all that, you know what I mean? But,
yeah, and we're losing that not only from, we're not saying this is why we're losing this because of legal immigration. We're losing this really from our own government between the amount of taxes we pay. I mean, what are we at? 40-something% or something like
Probably
that?
Probably if you add everything in,
I mean, it's hard to fucking live. I mean, dude, I'm stuck in my I can't go anywhere.
Ditto. Yeah.
It just sucks. And I get it. Living among your means is subjective. What am I thinking of right now? Not living among your means. Like a way that we should be living in our head is subjective, right?
The American dream.
The American dream
is different
for
everybody.
Yeah, right. But there's discussions, and I believe too, that's being lost. Right now, and I don't want to sound like a leftist or whatever you may slap me with, as a title, but. Because we could all say, well, it's better than living in some parts of Africa.
Right.
I get that. But at the same time, if you were to compare it throughout the 70s, 80s, and 90s, it's completely different in 2025.
Yeah.
I mean, shit, my mom was able to stay home. My dad was able to work.
Yeah.
I just don't, there was times that my mom had to work for sure. But you can't have 5 kids anymore like my parents.
Yeah.
I'm stuck at 2, and not because I don't want to I would like to have more kids, but at the same time you can't afford them.
And a lot of that is cultural. We've been
we buy more. I get that too.
Yeah. And we think that I grew up pretty poor, but at the same time my mom stayed home, so like my dad was the sole income earner.
Right.
Other than my mom did a little bit of, she actually collected taxes.
And your dad probably didn't have Nike pants on like I do right now.
Right.
He wasn't spending his money on shit.
He wore
I get that.
He wore jeans. He wore, he got his boots paid for by his work.
He wore what he wore to work
nice
outside
boots.
of work.
Yeah. He had nice boots, but it's because his company paid for his boots, But, and eventually my mom did go to work when we got older or whatever. But it's like we didn't take vacations. Like we didn't go to Worlds of Fun every year or
have memberships. Anywhere. Yeah, I get that.
We didn't do those things. And I feel, and I'm guilty of it, that I feel that, yeah, I want my kid to go do those things.
This too.
Yeah.
That's always in our face. Bye.
Here's something little. I was a big pro wrestling. I am a big pro wrestling fan even still, but my dad never took me to an event, like we're not buying tickets for that. Mm-hmm. Like, are you crazy? And it's like, but then my son, it's like, no, I'm going to do that. We're going to go,
but who's right?
I don't think anybody's, I mean, it's kind of, depends who's looking at me. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I would say as
like
a father,
my dad hasn't said you're wrong. You know what I mean?
I get that, but I'm saying like to compare, not saying your father was wrong.
But the same time, it's wrong for me to say, okay, I want this and this. Mm-hmm. I want both.
Okay, I see your
and I think that is something that the left caters to. They go, you should be able to do all those things that you want to do and have a nice car and live and whatever the two things are.
I get that.
That you should be able to go on a vacation every year and you should, be able to have a house that's 2 bedrooms more than you need, or what right. They instead of,
and the Republicans are a pull yourself up by your bootstraps type idea and
just make choices, like,
you don't think that they're like that? I think they are.
The pull yourself up by your bootstraps.
Yeah, because I think and I'm not saying we're not saying all Dems, we're not saying all Republicans.
And it's a lot different.
They're polar opposite on how they look at things, but there's a middle.
Once again, that's what we were talking about, that the two sides of populism. Mm-hmm. You look at like what Trump wants to do. Okay, let's decrease the supply of labor with deportations, and let's try to even the trade field with tariffs.
Right.
So that we can work and earn more. That we want to go to work and we want to earn more than we can right now.
Right. That's
totally different than going, no, we're just going to give you stuff and you don't have to work if you don't want to. Like those are two polar opposites. I'm going to say that the Republican populism is way more ethical and you know what I mean?
Right. I get
reasonable,
yeah.
So it's like, I don't think that, even with the Republican voter, I don't see a big demand of, I want welfare. I want you to just give me stuff because I'm an American citizen. Like,
I want the system to take care of me.
I want to be prioritized. I guess that would be, I want to be prioritized as a citizen. But I don't want just handouts. I want to be able to pay my way, and I want you to get out of my way. We've talked about it probably every time I've been on here, but Obamacare was a huge deal. And it's an upsetting deal.
Yeah, we all got fucked on that. There's even Democrats that discuss that, but they just won't point the finger on who it was.
Yeah, but it's that, hey, you just got in our way. Like, was our system great? No, but you tried to monkey around with it and make it where you were just going to give people stuff,
right?
And we're all paying the price for it. That was bad. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot of those things that, stop monkeying around with stuff. Let us figure it out. Just make it easier. Like try to prioritize us and our labor and let us earn what we deserve and not have to compete with immigrants or, other countries, like
high taxes.
Yeah. High tax. Exactly.
Hear me out. This is all I want. And I think we could meet in the middle from both sides, because I'm for the pull yourself up by your bootstraps, but I'm also for, I do believe in some of the discussions that the Dems have.
a hand up, not a handout.
Yeah, and I do believe on some of the things that they discuss when they discuss the issues with on the bad side of capitalism that I discuss, which is why are there more billionaires being created? Why is there more relief given to the rich than the people of the working people? I do believe these both sides. You know what I mean? But my thing is like, this is what I think we should do to be able to combat both. Decrease taxes on everybody, not just rich people.
Right.
Don't have competing forces like we're discussing the illegal immigration. Give everyone an opportunity to fill these jobs, and then if these jobs aren't filled, then we can discuss some visa options. You know what I mean? I'm not for people not coming over here. I want people to come over here, but it needs to be structured better.
A visa system that addresses shortcomings, not creates an abundance of labor. Does that make sense? Like,
well, really, what I would like on the visa process, because I see the difference between immigrants. I see immigrants that come over here through the illegal way and the immigrants that come over here through the legal way. Right. And their ideas on America are completely different. And I'm not saying all of them, but a lot of them that I've discussed.
Because there's a vetting process.
Exactly. Because there's a vetting process. I want people to come over here that are proud to be American. That's what I want. Not coming over here to take and take back. Okay. We can have you to an extent, but I would prefer, if you're going to give someone a visa, come over here to work, to talk to him and be like, what are your intentions? Do you want to become an American?
Yes.
If we're going to do that, I want them to go through that same process of being educated to come through here to be an American, and give him that opportunity to be a full established citizen, to be able to get rid of his citizenship with his other country and become and want to do good for America, because that's the type of people we need.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And buy in. You know what I mean? Buy into us.
Yeah.
And not be an adversary to us. Mm-hmm. Like I feel like that's one of the major drivers of the fervor behind the anti-immigration movement.
Right.
It's because there is a view that you are not buying in. You don't understand America. Or even worse, you think America is bad, but you still want to come here and change it.
Right.
Like that's the debate. Like,
I've discussed this though before.
Don't come into my house and tell me that I need to rearrange the pictures on the wall. Right. Like, no, it's my house. Go to your own house.
But the problem is with that, Blake, and this is the misconception. I addressed this on the Ozone Layer podcast. I sat down with two individuals that were once, I think both of them were illegal. If not, I know one of them was, and then became a citizen.
Right.
And their outlooks on are different. And you can see when they speak, they're very objective. And a lot of, honestly, immigrants they usually aren't the ones out there talking about fuck America, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That's always first, second, third generation type citizens.
Yes.
And I've been, because a lot of the misconception is when it comes to who was out there in California. Now, I can't vouch, but I've been around these people my entire life, and I know who these people are that are out there crying wolf. And a lot of times it's these American-born, let's just say Latinos, that their father or mother or uncle, whatever, is an illegal immigrant, and they are upset about it, which I totally understand. But for you to go out there and say, you're on stolen land, you guys are fucking racist, fuck you, I'm going to wave the Mexican flag and not the American flag that has given me everything and my family everything. You are the problem, because you're not coming out here and you're not giving a objective discussion and giving your take and compromising a little. Like, I understand the way they did it wasn't the right way, but could we meet in the middle here? Could we discuss some sort of deal to where we can reform immigration process so my family could have had the better opportunity to go through the legal route? Like talking that way, instead of just going, fuck you, you're on stolen land. This used to be Mexico. Well,
Make
I'm
California
sorry.
Mexico
Yeah,
again.
I'm sorry. Your country sold you. You know, you're not even your country. That's not your country. You're an American citizen. Mexico sold their land. I mean, if you want to go throughout history of every country in the world and talk about stolen land, then we'd have to talk about all of them.
What was the, I was listening to a podcast and the guy says, just give me the year, whatever year where we're starting, where is the line that we're going to start? And that's where everybody's their actual land that they are.
Right.
You know, possess. You know, it's like,
I mean,
no,
to
you can't do
me,
it.
after the 1900s, it's like we've already got lines established here. Yeah. That is my issue with Israel, and I'll just speak on my part on that, is the continued land grabbing throughout Gaza, and all, you know, the continued bombing and hiding behind the fact of they're defending themselves, which, you know, I am starting to lean more onto what Dave Smith says, and it almost looks like a ethnic cleansing to some point. Now, I'm not saying that every Hamas and Iran and all these countries are just some saints and angels. I'm not saying that. A lot of it really derives from the these, I don't know if you'd call Hamas a government organization. I know they're labeled a terrorist organization. I honestly think they're just a product of being bombed multiple times and killed. And that's what gets created out of it, is almost a terrorist-like organization to combat back. Because look at us throughout in America. We were once considered terrorists to the British when we revolted. So, you know, and I'm not saying they probably do some fucked up shit to their people. I have seen some shit on that too. And that's not right. But so does a lot of countries, you know.
I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but have you ever played the card game Pitch? Have you ever played? You ever heard of it? Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Okay, so it's a card game, and it's usually you play it with 4 people and you have a partner. Okay. And the way the game works is you have a partner that's in control. Like every hand, somebody kind of takes control of the hand. And your opponents, let's say I take control of the hand. My opponents are just trying to thwart me and you're going to be my partner. Mm-hmm. Okay. And your job as my partner is to just try to feed me good stuff. You know what I mean? And I think that's just a good structure. Okay. And in this game of Pitch, there's a card, the 3. Okay. Just the 3. It's worth 3 points. It's the most valuable card that you can take, but it doesn't take anything. You have to give it to your partner, or you have to be able to save it as the last card, right? So it's the most valuable card. It's the card that the game kind of evolves around, right? Okay. It can be the make or break card. All right. So just keep that in mind. I can teach you how to play it sometime, but I think it's just a good way to look at that Middle Eastern situation. Israel's been a good partner to us, right? As far as a partner, but occasionally they throw that fucking 3 out there when it doesn't make sense, and it puts us in a bad spot. And as we've dealt in that region, us and Israel have kind of not picked our partners the best outside of each other. You know, you can go back and forth. America's viewpoint in that region has been, who's our enemy? Oh, it's Russia. Okay. Who's fighting the Russians? Oh, it's the Afghans. Okay. The Mujahideen. Yeah. Okay.
Let's invest in them.
Yeah. They can be our partner in this game of Pitch. And we play with them and the game gets over. And then we go, okay, it's time to play another game. Oh shit. We're playing the Mujahideen. We're playing the Taliban now. And it's like, okay, who's the enemy of the Taliban? Oh, it's these people. Okay. Well, we'll partner with them. And then that turns into ISIS. And you're like, shit, we got to play these people now. And Israel's, I think, done some of the same stuff. You know, a lot of people say that they were responsible for Hamas getting elected. You know, Hamas didn't win a majority of anything. You know, it was a bunch of different parties. And they ended up taking the plurality of the vote and got in control. And then they didn't have an election after that. But Israel has kind of done the same thing with some of their partners. You know, they make a big deal about Iran and Israel right now. Well, they weren't necessarily enemies back in the day. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. We've done the same thing with Iran. Okay. Iran's our enemy. You know, they took hostages in 1979 and, you know, they did the bombing in Beirut, whatever. Who is against the Iranians? Who can we partner with to go against the Iranians? Oh, Saddam Hussein. Cool. Saddam, be our partner. And it's just like, we've done this thing where we just keep trading partners. Our partners become our enemies. And so we get a new partner. They become our enemies. And as far as Israel, I think they are our most stable partner, but we have to remember that they are playing their own cards at the same time. Does that make sense? Like they are not they're not our bitch necessarily. You know, they are playing their own cards in their own interest, and our cards align a lot of times. We're on the same side a lot of times, but sometimes we're not. Sometimes they fuck up.
I mean, we heard Trump's remarks. They don't know what the fuck they're doing over there. Right. So yeah, I see that.
And, you know, I think the idea of Trump's policy in that region is to try to get it where everybody is kind of playing their own game. Everybody is kind of on even footing. It's all balanced. You know, Iran is maybe shut out of the, you know, I think that was a big thing of the Abraham Accords. Try to get Saudi, try to get all these countries more in line with Israel and kind of shut them out. But I think Trump wants to get the board in a position where he can go, okay, we're backing away from the table now. You guys play this game. We're not going to be involved.
But how do you get that? How do you back away after you've already bombed them?
Well, you're talking about Iran.
No,
right?
Yeah, when we bombed Iran, you know, the preemptive strikes. It's like if I punched you in the face right now and I didn't expect you to punch me back.
Okay.
Right?
Let's
you would probably want to punch me back in the face.
Okay, we were just talking about this golf video, right? Before we started.
Right.
Where the guy fights the hockey enforcer and gets his ass whooped real bad.
Yeah.
Okay. We talked about how stupid it was for that guy to keep getting up and keep coming after that guy, right? Okay. In Iran, between us and Israel, we totally demolished their anti-air strikes. Israel just totally took over their airspace. Mm-hmm. We came in, didn't get a shot fired at us, and dropped 14 bombs on them. They couldn't do shit. We totally, you know, in Trump's words, we totally obliterated their nuclear sites. Whether that's
you can't confirm that,
right? Whether we know that or not, but that's the line of thinking. Either way,
and they're going to say yes, so you don't know where they're at.
Yeah. Either way, we went in there and we kicked ass, and they didn't really do anything, right?
Not now.
Yeah, but at the same time, do they have a way to? I think there's a negative. I think that they're going to be
possibly the 20 million people that influxed over here at some point.
Well, there's that.
I mean, there's been plenty of those fucking.
There's an argument that they're going to be more motivated to build a nuke, but at the same time, right now, they are that guy that just got their ass whooped by the hockey player. Mm-hmm. Do they really want to get up, or do they just want to go, okay, like, you know? And I think a lot of it's going to be driven by the population of Iran. You know, whether they are going, you guys really suck at this. Like, you guys talk a big game, but we just got our ass kicked real bad and thrown in a lake.
Or we have thousands dead. What are you going to do about it? Are you going to protect us? And then if not, there's probably going to be civil unrest.
But I don't see, I mean, I think there's, you know, I think that they're, once again, rather than us going in there and do regime change, let the people do it. And, you know, if us going in there and kicking their ass is bad.
How many times are we involved in regime change?
But that's what I'm saying. We don't want to be in, but let them do it. And whoever comes to power, you know, and we talked about like our interest in Israel is not aligning. And, you know, when we talk about the attacks on America, without getting into the Sina, Shui, or, you know, all the different religious aspects of the different kinds of Arabs and Muslims and all that. Mm-hmm. But, you know, like the Al-Qaeda people, they are not Iranian. They're not the same sect. We've got attacked by the Taliban, and yet we keep going after the Persian, you know, aspect. And at the same time, like Israel, and you talk about Assad, you know, like they didn't like Assad, and now look who's taken over Syria. It's like the Taliban, you know, the same people that attacked us. So it's like our interests maybe not align the best, but at the same time, I think Trump's view is right, if it is his view, but it's my view, to try to get that game settled down a little bit. Try to know where everybody stands, and everybody can kind of check each other. And we can back out of there and go, don't want to be involved.
Do you believe in the amount of money that we're sending them over for to keep them safe with all the money that we're giving them in order for them to have the military weapons they have?
Depends what they're giving back to us.
That's the question.
Are they given what kind of intelligence? What kind of intelligence software? Are they our testing ground for our weapons?
Aren't we the one that created that dome for them now?
Yeah, I think so. But at the same time, it's like, it's a good place to test that technology.
I know, but that's
not a lot of rockets coming into America from Canada.
That's a little more on the
that's what I'm saying.
Type side, right? Because people got to die in order to test that shit.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, not necessarily. I mean, the Iron Dome is a defense system.
Right. Okay. I get what you're saying on that.
You know what I mean? Like, but
But these bunker busters are not.
Right.
And we're testing them live.
But it's, now granted, we dropped those ourselves, but, I think that a lot of people, once again, we talk about Israel derangement syndrome. Everything is bad. You know what I mean?
But we got to be careful using that, though.
Yeah.
Just like we can't label everyone Trump derangement syndrome.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Anybody
or
that has
snowflakes.
Right. I think that once again, there's a line between asking questions, wanting answers, having debate. And I think we had that. There was a big influx of that on the right with this bombing and with our involvement. And I think it was good. It was healthy. And if we were going to drop bombs on Iran, could you done it? Could you have, as it stands right now, with a possible ceasefire and, like I said, no escalation? Could you imagine it turning out any better? If you had to drop a bomb on Iran, could you imagine anything settling any better than it did right now?
I understand.
It could have been way worse. And, and I think Trump needs to get some credit for that. As much as you want to criticize him for, dropping the bombs to begin with, he did. He made the choice to, but he didn't let it escalate. He didn't let us get dragged into war or whatever. Right.
I'm just criticizing because as I get older, I'm more looking on the lives lost now rather than the win.
Yes.
And people are dying because of this.
Right.
That's why. And my idea, my
like
thought
I
on this,
text you, would your view change if an Iranian nuke got set off in an American subway? Would that?
I get that.
You know what I mean?
Because now I have skin in the game. Now I've been affected. Now my family has died because of it.
You can't just play that game. Once again, you go.
But
back
I'd rather be defensive than attacking all the time.
You go back to the original.
Because then we're the bully, right?
Okay, let's go back to the original. Now I know it's different because we declared war, but when we dropped the bombs on Japan, we killed a lot of people. We killed a lot of innocent people. Mm-hmm. But at the same time,
I've heard this.
If we had to invade Japan with ground troops, you go look at the Pacific, the war in the Pacific in World War II. It was horrible, 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 horrible. And now you're going to go into mainland Japan and have to deal with a citizen population too. How many innocent people, how many American soldiers are going to die? You have to weigh all these things. You can't just look at it as a zero. Every life lost is a tragedy, right? But at the same time, there is a bigger picture. You have to think about more stuff. And like I said, I think Trump thinks about those things. He doesn't jump to, spur of the moment things. Sometimes he does. And sometimes I actually think he does a lot. Mm-hmm. I heard somebody say that Trump would rather make a quick decision and correct it than waffle and waver and, take a lot of time and then you're set in your ways. You know what I mean? When you deliberate something for a long time and then you decide on it, you're way more, no, I thought about all this stuff. I'm really, really locked in. Rather than just action and then we figure it out from there. There's good and bad from that. But I think you can't just go to, oh, no, dropping bombs is always wrong. You know what I mean? Or, killing is always wrong. I don't have that view.
I get that.
And so I don't want to just yes, let's have the argument.
No,
and like
I respect your opinion on it.
And I don't want to come off as a John Bolton Warhawk either. I'm not. I was not in favor of them dropping the bombs. Yeah. I'm just saying that if everything we're being told is even half true, it turned out pretty well.
But what you just said right there, and this is where I was going to go to, is it half true of how we got to this position? I understand we can go down the conspiracy route or the what ifs or whatever anybody may look at it as. We're not targeting the root of why these situations are coming up. So, for instance, the bombing of Japan. Well, how did World War II even start to begin with? Okay, and that's when you can go down that line of, well, damn, we were beating the fuck up out of Germany, and just like, the amount of money they had to pay back their economy. And
from World War I.
And you wonder why Hitler came to power, a figure like that, and then ended up being able to rile everybody up,
and people knew it at the time. There was people saying back then, all you've done is guarantee another one of these wars,
and which would have avoided probably the Japan or even the many warnings that were given to Pearl Harbor that were ignored.
But you can't. Yes, it's important to look at history, and
it's repeating itself over and over.
Yeah, but at the same time, it's you have to judge people in the moment.
I get that. I just look at it as a machine that's creating
and you can't, and
money
it's a one-sided argument because you can never prove what would have happened if you didn't.
I get that, and I'm well aware.
All we can do is speculate. So it's kind of like, okay, I just listened to a podcast and it was all about nuclear proliferation and us being able, and they went into the Cuban Missile Crisis, and there were all these flashpoints along the way. The shutdown of Berlin by Stalin. Okay, we did the Berlin airlift. It's widely celebrated now. It was ingenious. We've sent like 250,000 flights in and out of Berlin like crazy, just trying to supply the city because Stalin shut everything down. What if that would have got us into World War III right then? Was that a better outcome or not? It's like, was Truman, there was probably a lot of people telling Truman, now's the time, nuke them. They don't have the bomb, nuke them. Let's just end the Soviet problem. Mm-hmm. And it's like, but he said, no, we don't want to do that yet. Let's try this. And it turned out pretty well. Right. So it's like, it's a very, very difficult game when you're going, have we just done this? Everything would have changed.
I get that. And I don't look at you
have you ever seen the show 11/22/63? It's about the JFK assassination. And this guy he's in this restaurant, and all of a sudden the cook comes out and he's like, you got to do this, this, this. Well, there's like back in this storeroom, it's a time warp, and he goes back to like 1960. And so this guy, you got to save JFK. That's what he's saying. So that's what this shows. This guy goes back in time and is gonna save JFK. Well, he does it. Finally does it. But then he comes back into modern time, and it's literally like a, nuclear holocaust. Like there's nothing. There's hobos on it. Everybody's living in squalor. There's no buildings. Everybody's ragged. And it's like, oh, like the butterfly effect, right?
Right.
Like,
you change something throughout history, a different outcome.
Like you can't.
You don't know what the outcome's going to come from it.
Right.
Yeah, right.
I think it's very important to now and analyze what we did and why we did it and the results. But I don't think we can just go back and go, if we wouldn't have done it, this and this would happen, and we'd have.
And I don't look at you.
Sunshine and rainbows.
I don't look at you as a war hawk from that, because I know people look at me as an isolationist because I'd prefer not to donate.
That's a slur.
Yeah,
that's a slur.
I don't believe in giving foreign aid. I don't believe in meddling in other people's wars. For instance, like I asked you about Israel. I mean, do you believe in protecting Ukraine? You know what I mean? Like, why are we continually protecting these countries? To me, it's like, if you're an established country, you should be able to protect yourself in your own lines.
What Matt Walsh said a while back: if you are relying on another country to protect your country, you don't have a country.
Exactly. If you want to pay us, and military soldiers want to voluntarily sign up as security, then by all means, whatever. And even that's debated. Yeah. Because then that just makes us a target because we're helping them.
But at the same time, you look at we were just talking about history. Mm-hmm. There's this appeasement. We talk about that a lot with Hitler. that we let him take Czechoslovakia. We
waited a long time to
let
jump
him get
in.
out of his system. And he's not going to do this. So, at the same time, okay, we learned that lesson. Did we overlearn it? You know what I mean?
I know.
And I don't think Trump overlearned it.
World
I think
War
Trump
II is always used as the means of justifying what we're doing.
But at the same time, and I really think the way the things are set up right now, it's way more analogous to World War I. The way the chessboard is set up, I think it's way more
game of Risk.
The way the game of Risk is set up,
Yeah.
I think it's way more similar to World War I than it is World War II. But let's talk about Trump and Ukraine. I think Trump really wants to solve that war. I really think he thinks if he was in power, that war wouldn't have happened. But it did happen, and now he's in power, and he's trying to come to a deal. But at the same time, you can't let your desire to end a war let you get run over. Does that make sense?
Or let you do the same thing the Democrats are doing, sending weapons to them.
But at the same time, if he feels that Putin is not wanting a fair deal, then what's his,
how would we react? We know how we would react. Look at the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Do we want Ukraine to be controlled by Putin? If your answer is I don't care, well, that's probably going to be your framing. If your answer is, well, no, not really, but I really don't want to send this much money. There's segments of this. I don't think it's this or this. You know what I mean? And I think Trump's trying to find that middle ground. He doesn't want to, he doesn't want to give Putin all of Ukraine. I think he's okay with Putin keeping some of what he's taken, which is in conflict with the Ukrainians, and it maybe just gets to a point where that the Ukrainians, for a long time, it was of, at least of the viewpoint of the public, that Trump wasn't happy with Zelensky, right? He had the little Oval Office, where he's kind of telling him, no, you don't tell us what to do. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people thought that, Trump thought Zelensky was the problem. Well, now I think it's kind of, and you could see how Trump acted with Zelensky. Yeah. Well, now you're seeing the opposite. He thinks that Putin's out of line, that Putin's not acting.
I see that.
And so now he's got to counteract that. How do you do? Can he go to Moscow and bitch out Putin like he can Zelensky? I don't think that's probably wise. But so you say, all right,
he won't because they have nukes. That's why Iran wants to get nukes. Yeah. So they're not.
And at the same time, we
don't fuck with people with nukes.
We convinced Ukraine to give theirs up. So it's with the promise that we got the nukes, we'll protect you. It's
Blake. We got
it's
two.
Complicated.
We got two welfare moms.
Yeah,
BB and fucking Zelensky. All right, and it drives me nuts, man. And I get it, and I understand your side of it is having relationships, which I will admit I do conflict with myself on being an isolationist and helping the world.
It's not just our relationship to Ukraine; it's our relationship to Poland, who's the next in line. It's our relationship with
Poland's
Germany.
Not very happy with Israel. Have you seen them burning down all the fucking, what are those little candle things?
Yeah.
The Hanukkah things?
What are those?
Yeah, they're going nuts, ripping down Israel flags and shit.
It's, it's not just a Ukraine-Russia issue. It's also a European issue. It's also it can be a China issue.
How's that an American issue, though?
Well, people would say that it's not. And I don't think Trump wants it to be. But it is.
Yeah, it got passed down from him, from the other administrations.
Right. And I think if you look at Trump's foreign policy, he would, once again, kind of same thing in the Middle East. Let's get this board in a good spot, and then let's back away. And I really think Trump wants to focus on North America, South America. Mm-hmm. Let's focus on that. I think that's why he went right after the Panama Canal, right off the bat. That's in our hemisphere, on our American side of the earth, South America, North, our continent in South America. Greenland, same thing. That's in our neighborhood. I think he wants to get Canada in a better spot.
I guess does the canal go into?
It's in South. It's between Central America and South America.
Okay, so it's between both continents.
But it's in our hemisphere.
Right.
I think he wants to kind of focus on our hemisphere and try to get the rest of the world in a spot where they can kind of take care of themselves. And you've seen that with his NATO policy. You know, they just upped their defense spending to 5%.
Yeah, but who contributes more to NATO funding?
Oh, we do for sure. But we also have the bigger GDP.
I get that.
But at the same time, at least they're paying more. It's they have a more interest in.
I honestly wish we'd pull out.
Maybe, but once again, what if we pull out and World War III happens? Because
there was a comment made by was it Massey that said Ron Paul one time discussed that one of our submarines could defend like a majority of attacks on America, just one submarine. Nuclear I think we have like fucking 13
I don't know
or
how many we have, but
we probably they would never disclose that. They tell us probably 10. They got 20.
But it's I can see that point.
And I wouldn't want that. And honestly, I think the whole nuclear war thing is used as a propaganda tool to scare everybody. Yeah. Not saying there isn't a crazy motherfucker out there that would send one over.
But at the same time, me and you didn't live through duck and cover drills and the Cuban Missile Crisis. It's we are coming.
But we're the only ones who drop nukes out of everybody in the world.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. But at the same time, it's.
I get it.
Yeah,
I get it, but I mean, like, I don't know. I just, I feel that's a scare tactic.
Our hands aren't the cleanest.
No, but what I'm saying is, I just feel like it's more of a scare tactic to say, hey, if we don't do this, the radical extremist Muslims are going to bomb us. It's like, well, are they?
Yeah.
Are they? Because, and I'm not saying I trust Iran. I'm not saying that at all. But Tucker Carlson did have an interview with them, which, man, how the hell are you getting those interviews, Tucker? Yeah. That's what I want to know. But I'm giving Tucker credit, dude. Like talking about I never thought you could teach an old dog new tricks because that dude, I mean, even with his dad being CIA, I'm surprised he's saying all the shit he's saying.
Come a long way from the bow tie.
Bro, it's fucking wild, dude. Like he just had that, I'll send you that speech he just did.
With
recently.
Turning Point.
No. It was him standing up in front of a bunch of people.
Yeah, I think I was at Turning Point.
Is that what that is?
I think so.
But him he's really hitting hard on this whole Israel-Iran thing. But dude, I respect his at least his journalism.
Yeah.
Like I do feel like that's more true to get both takes and then you have your opinion on it. Because if you're silencing one, you look more fishy to me that you don't want me to listen to them.
Right.
You know?
It's I like his show for the most part.
And I thought that even, and I'm not saying that, the president from Iran is going to come out and say, yeah, we want to kill all of you. Of course, he's going to be fucking tactful about it. Yeah. But I just look at it
least hear him out.
If we were against extremism, and I know we love to slap that on Muslims, and I understand there are Muslims who are extremists. Right. I'm sure we could find that in every religion.
Yeah.
But my thing is that if we really wanted to attack people who were treating their people horribly and being extremists, why aren't we bombing fucking North Korea?
Right.
Why aren't we bombing some of these other countries that are treating their people?
Right.
I mean, China's got fucking a bunch of Christians as slave fucking imprisoned workers.
Uyghur Muslims.
Yeah, Uyghur Muslims. Yeah. Or no, they weren't Christians. They were Muslims. Yeah, sorry. But I mean, what the fuck is that? There's Christians being genocided too in some countries.
South America or South Africa.
Well, but which I don't, that's a whole nother conversation. We'll have to do that another time because I didn't fully.
I'm not the most educated on that
I'm not
subject
fully online with how we went about that. I thought it was weird and it didn't look very good for Trump to do that. But there's other nations too that are Christians are being slaughtered in some Middle Eastern countries.
Syria has a big one.
Yeah, and so like my thing is that we can't hide behind that and then only cherry pick on which ones we like to meddle in.
Yeah,
and I understand we couldn't cover all of them. That'd be like Spider-Man trying to save the world. He only saves fucking the people in his
area.
I don't
think you and I are that far apart. Like I wanted to pull back from the table in a lot of our entanglements around the world.
Well, to chalk up the end of this discussion because we're almost at the 2-hour mark. Let's kind of go down what the final thought of this whole 6 months and what you kind of think where we're headed. I mean, I'd like to even know. I mean, of course, we're going to do this again.
Yeah.
But maybe your thoughts on who they're kind of lining up to take over for the next to compete for the next administration.
I think. Okay, so I think the Democrats are in a bad way, but I don't get too cocky kind of thing. Like, there's still two parties.
Do you believe Trump's lost a lot of his base recently? Because there's been a lot of discussions, and I've seen a lot online that shows.
I think right now there's a lot of consternation. I think if the economy turns around and is humming real well by the midterms, I think that maybe trumps some of no pun intended, but kind of maybe trumps some of the negative press that he's getting right now.
Do you think that the economy, that the citizens are going to see that, not just money being given to business?
I think we saw it in his first term. I know I did anyway.
Because I haven't seen it yet, personally, in my pockets.
Right.
Well,
you got to think he's only been in 6 months.
I get that, but after this beautiful bill, is that going to be help?
We'll see. I think it will. That's the plan, that it's going to spur growth. Trump's really trying to get the interest rate down, which would probably help. I think the economy, stupid, right? That is going to be the main driver. And I think that will solve, it'll maybe dampen some of the consternation that's going down right now with Epstein and all these other things, the Iran bombing. So I think that's going to be the main factor in the midterms. I don't think the Republicans are. I don't think that I think there's a better chance that the Democrats take the House than it is that the Republicans expand their majority by 20 seats or what. I really think that Trump's not going to be on the ballot. The Republicans in the House are going to have to win those seats, and they're not the best at that when Trump's not on the ballot.
Yeah, I mean, who are they going to run with? J.D. Vance?
Probably? I would say J.D. Vance is probably your odds-on favorite. Mm-hmm. I don't really see an outsider. I think it's right now, if I had to pick the top two, I'd probably pick Marco Rubio and I would pick J.D. Vance to be your top two candidates.
Yeah.
I just don't see a lot of people coming from the outside. I don't think there's a senator that is going to make that leap, make that push. I think there might be some that try. I wouldn't be surprised if Josh Hawley makes a run at it. I don't know.
What happens here at midterms? What are we going to be looking at for?
So midterms, you're going to get about a third of the Senate seats will be up for grabs. Okay. I think that map lines out pretty good for Republicans,
which could cause some disruption for the current administration for the next. The rest of their term.
You're right. If the big thing, I think the Senate is in good shape for the Republicans. We're looking at the House. So midterms are every 2 years. And the midterm is the middle of the president. So the election that happens in the middle of the presidential term. If the Democrats take the House, basically that's just going to shut everything down as far as Trump, as far as legislation through Trump. You're probably going to get some bad spending bills. You're probably going to get, and he's going to have to sign them or shut down the government, which is always a big thing. And then not only that, but and it's a mistake by the Democrats. The Democrats should be out there going, listen, if we win, we are going to legislate.
Yeah.
But what they're saying is, if we win, we are going to investigate Trump. They're going to go right back down to the impeachment, lawfare. Everything is bad on Trump. And I don't think there's an appetite for that in America. That might be the saving grace for Republicans, is that the Democrats are so focused on Trump and everything revolves around Trump that that it's going to be their own nail in their coffin. Yeah. I think, and we talk about Trump derangement syndrome. There's a lot of that going on in the Democrat Party, right? That's kind of been the main thing that they've all bonded over, right? Is that Trump's bad. You see it in Facebook comments.
It just depends on what their derangement system is coming from.
Yeah, but
like what topics are we discussing here that's giving you that?
Yeah. But I think once again, I think Trump could go. I've solved the Middle East problem. There's peace in the Middle East, and and the Democrats would go, that's bad.
Yeah.
You know, I really think there's a sect of people that are like that.
There are. Yeah.
I think that the Democrats are also, they've become so Trump centric in their policies that Trump is the framing of everything. I think they're actually doing it's bled over into their own strategy, and they see stuff that Trump does and they go, that'll work for us. Like it worked for Trump. Let's do that same thing. Mm-hmm. You see it. There's been a uptick of cursing by the Democrats.
Oh yeah. What's her name?
Jasmine Crockett is one of them, but it's everybody. You know, there's a lot of people on that side that think, oh, Trump cusses on these podcasts. Let's get on there. Gavin Newsom's a big one.
I don't give a fuck about your cussing. You know, what are you talking about?
And but at the same time,
lady I've heard or some of her shit. And oh my God.
They think that because Trump did it and won, that they can do it and win. But it's not have you ever seen dated reference here, but have you ever seen the movie Roxanne? It's from the 80s. It's got Steve Martin in it, and Steve Martin wears this big prosthetic nose. His character has this big nose, and it's a plot line of the movie that he's trying to get this girl, but he doesn't think she'll like him because he's got this big ass nose. Mm-hmm. And it was a decent movie. It would be the equivalent of every actor going, hey, that Steve Martin film did pretty good. I'm going to wear a prosthetic nose in my next film, even though it doesn't have anything to do with the movie, right? That's what the Democrats are doing, I think, with becoming so Trump centric. Right. They're trying to copy Trump, and it just doesn't. It's inauthentic.
Trying to find their Trump, trying to find their Rogan.
It's inauthentic. You can't. That stuff was really grassroots, and you can't just wear the mask and well,
what I would say is go after him for is this Epstein issue, because that's the only thing that holds merit. And whether or not, I will say this last thing on that is that, I mean, other than all the photo evidence, which I tried when I first voted for him, I gave him a chance, because when they asked him, I seen the photos and I was like, well, we can't label everybody that has a photo with this man as a child molester or whatever, a pedo. When they asked him, are you going to go after this and release the list? And he did stutter. Yeah, he did, which kind of threw me off. And I was like, well, fuck. He said yes, though. He's going to campaign.
Once again, he's however old.
I get
how much did he actually even know?
I get that. Situation? But you've been in that circle for a long time. This has been rumored forever. Right. Alex Jones has talked about this forever. So I was like, man, well, you only give me fucking 2 options. Right. You know what I mean? So I got to go with one. Liked what he discussed throughout his campaign. We discussed very libertarian, a lot of libertarian ideologies. And so when he got in, and then the way he handled this, and I'm not even saying just him, Kash Patel, Bongino, Bondi, I mean, the whole, we got phase 1. Yeah. You know, giving they're going to give this to us. All and now just to completely silence.
I'm going to blow your mind.
Blow my mind here.
So.
And where I was going with that, though, am I under the assumption, or am I under the idea that it could possibly, there is nothing there because it's already gone?
There's that.
Yes.
Here's
but then tell us. There's got to be some sort of breadcrumb somewhere. Be transparent.
I'm going to catch you by surprise.
Okay, catch me by surprise.
This is what I think is the most likely in this situation. I think Epstein is corrupt. I think financially. I think the way he earned his wealth, there's some dirty business.
So you don't think it's CIA, Mossad type?
Let me get there.
Corrupt.
I'll get to that. I'll address that in a second. Okay. But I think that there's something hinky with his financials. I think he's a creepo. And like most creepos that we've know or have seen, it's not a big well-known thing that they're a creepo until it gets broken, right? You know what I mean? Like Jared, the Subway guy, right? Like everybody liked him until they found out that, oh shit, he's got kiddie porn on his computer. You know what I mean? Like those guys, it's not usually a big, well-known thing, right? So he first gets arrested so let's just say there's something hinky about his financials. Maybe there's other people involved in the dirty dealings with his hedge fund, whatever. I think that would probably be where we should start to look. But he gets arrested for this molestation in 2005 or whatever, right? George W. Bush was president. So I think he gets arrested for this, and a bunch of people that are connected to him are going, fuck, what? I didn't know that. Like, let's get this thing squashed. Like, I don't want him looking at my financial stuff, you know,
so you're saying financial for everybody.
Yeah. That there's something hinky, that there's some kind of money getting laundered somehow. Like, I really think that maybe he's a money laundering operation of some kind. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are going, shit, we got to and he was very well financed. So he had a good lawyer. And then I think there maybe was a thumb on the scale going, hey, I'll donate to your campaign, make this go away, whatever. And I think you have the Streisand effect. You know what that is? Mm-mm. All right. So the Streisand effect, Barbra Streisand, the famous actor, Broadway, whatever. There was a website that posted something. It was about like beachfront property. It was this little known blog or whatever, but they had aerial photos of her house on this thing. Nobody knew it was her house until she raised a big stink about it. And then everybody went to this website and saw these pictures of her house. It's the Streisand effect. Like, drawing attention, throwing a fit about something actually made it more prominent. Mm. So what I think was that there was people wanting this Epstein shit to go away in 2005 because of their financial deals. And they said, make it go away because this pedo guy, creeper guy, got this sweetheart deal. It actually blew up his notoriety. It actually drew attention to it. Mm-hmm. And then people start making up, their imaginations run wild. And I think we have a problem in this country that we would rather believe that our politicians are in some secret cabal of child molesting, sicko reptilian monsters who are serving a common good for themselves. And they also share these debaucherous, gross rituals. We would rather believe that than that our politicians are financially driven and ambitious, personally ambitious people. And then so they act that way once they get in office. We would rather believe that it's some big giant conspiracy than that we just need to vote for better people. Mm. You know, like I think there's an aspect of that. So then that runs wild and runs wild and runs wild. And, you know, you get this elevation of this creeper guy, this very well-connected creeper guy. But I really don't think, maybe outside of Prince Andrew and Bill Gates, maybe, that I don't think a lot of people that knew him were partaking in this or probably even knew about it.
Then why try to deflect that heart away from it? Why, when being asked to Bondi, you interrupt and be like, "Oh, we're still talking about
her.
this?"
I'll get to her in a second. But
well, I'm more talking about Trump.
Yeah, but I think there's the financial part. Like, there's a lot of people connected to that. Should they be exposed? Yes.
Yeah, because you're hiding pedophilia.
Yeah, but I don't think. I think it's grown to the point now where nobody's going to be happy with what gets released, and I think
if it was me and you, they would release it.
And but I'm not convinced that the giant sex pedo ring is the thing. I think it's a financial thing that's a thing. And I think people, if we start attacking people with that, let's say it's some
that's
kind of,
that's what they do.
Let's
they try to do that to Alex Jones. They're trying to put fucking child porn on his computer. Right. They use that as a tool.
But I'm saying, let's say that there's a whole bunch of people that have committed white collar crimes. Their max jail sentence for these crimes is going to be 1 year in prison. Mm-hmm. And they arrest every single one of them, and they charge them all, and they all go to prison for 1 year. Do you think anybody that thinks that the Epstein thing is what people think it is are going to be happy with that result?
Yeah. I mean, if there was evidence that they were molesting kids.
No, I'm saying that there's no evidence that they're molesting kids. They just go to prison for the white collar crime.
Yeah.
So you could do the max amount of justice.
Right.
That's backed up by evidence. They release everything. There's still, I would say 90% of the people that believe the Epstein conspiracy are still going to believe the Epstein conspiracy, and they're still not going to be happy. They're still going to think all those people got off light.
I get your side on that.
And so I just
been too much release to be able to say.
I just think that people want it to be true. And I just don't think, I think it's way more likely the scenario that I just presented. I think that that's way more likely then there's all these multi-government agencies interacting, and there's not been an Edward Snowden that's come along and go, fuck, I'm just going to release all this shit.
I agree.
I'm going to release all this shit and go to Moscow.
Someone even said, are there any ethical hackers anymore nowadays?
Right. And I just have now, could I believe you brought up the intelligence aspect of it? Okay. I could see maybe he was in intelligence, domestic or foreign, whatever.
I could see intelligence agencies using it as blackmail.
Okay.
If I bring in women who are underage and I don't tell you, or and I have cameras all in my rooms and I videotape you, I've got you by the balls.
Okay, I still think that's pretty gross. And if it's true, then that's really, really gross.
But we have examples of this throughout in Hollywood in...
Okay, so let's say he is intelligence. What about this scenario? What if he's an intelligence asset? He's getting dirt on all these people through his financial, he's infiltrated this financial world because that's where he was in, right? That's what he was a billionaire philanthropist trying to put money in these different projects, right? MIT,
was a teacher,
Harvard, all this, he's putting this money, all these different places. And let's say all that money was fronted by a government, whatever, right? So he's
had the biggest penthouse in New York. Somehow,
he's doing all this financial business.
He's giving money
on behalf of intelligence, and then comes to find out that they're agents of pedo, and they're going, "Shit, we didn't know that." You know what I mean? I'm just saying.
You're CIA or Mossad, and you didn't know that?
Maybe not. I don't know.
There's thousands of people that are.
But now,
out, though, man.
Okay, that would explain why they had to burn him. If he didn't kill himself in prison, they're going. Shit, nobody's going to believe this now. If this comes back to us, now we have this set. Now it looks like our intelligence agents are funding pedophilia. Well, that's not a good look for us. That's going to discredit our agency. Fucking axe them. You know what I mean? The conspiracy. It's better to have the thought of conspiracy out there than to have it actually be reflected somewhere where it's not. You know what I mean? Like, right. I'm not convinced, and I see the same shit with JFK. I love the entertainment value of the JFK, and it sounds horrible, and I have my own theory on it, whatever. But I think there's people. You saw it when the JFK files came out. Like, if you thought Cuba did it, you found whatever evidence you want.
Mossad apparently had connections.
Once again, if you thought Mossad had a role in it beginning, you looked for that evidence, you sought it out.
Well, they were in the files. Yeah. Not saying that they killed him,
right?
But there was some issues, and then not only that, when you're asked to have your nuclear facilities be audited and you refuse, and then your prime minister steps down a month later or whatever it is with no reasoning at all, and then you die a month later after that. It's like,
but what I'm saying is, there's people out there that you could show them a videotape of Lee Harvey Oswald actually doing the murder, and they would go,
I get
that's a doctored video. Mossad doctored the video.
But to clump those all together is not right.
I know, but I'm saying that
I do understand that there is people like that.
Yeah, but I'm saying that there's people that it's to a point now that, and I don't agree. I think a lot of it. Here's another. Did you watch that movie I sent you last night?
I started it. Okay. You weren't lying. Slow as hell.
It's slow. But
at the beginning, actually, it was crazy. It was like kid fucking hand blown off. And I'm like, what the? He said it was slow.
Okay, so you're.
But I got to finish it. I'm at the point where he's like, he's the guy, the neighbor. He's like, I thought you said you weren't working or you were working on a mall. I'm like a writer. So like 30 minutes.
Okay. You just stick with it.
Okay. I'll watch it after
Trust
this.
me.
Yeah.
All right. But I don't want to ruin it for you now. But
it's fine.
Let's say,
I'll still watch it.
How about this let's say that, and Trump kind of made a post alluding to this. I was already kind of like conjuring this up in my mind and he kind of went down that hole, but let's say that there is some kind of establishment, uniparty forces.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Deep state.
If you wanted to protect your system from an outsider, and you wanted to have a fail-safe for an outsider, could you imagine a better way than pumping air into a balloon about this giant sex ring pedophilia cult, the Epstein case? So Obama, right? He says, because he comes in office in the middle of this initial Epstein deal, and he goes, okay, we can use this. On one hand, we'll pump this up, make it bigger than it is. And then we'll use that because some people are going to go, they're going to go way to the top. And you're going to get these kooky people that believe in Pizzagate and believe in the Podestas and all these. And we can use that. We can use their kookiness on this one issue to discredit them like they did Alex Jones. And then at the same time, we'll pump this balloon up. And then if an outsider ever gets in there, this might be a thing that an outsider will run on, that they're going to expose this mess. And then they get in there and they realize there's nothing to it. And now they're going to be discredited when they say that there's nothing to it.
But you don't think Trump and his team were smart enough to see that? Because they ran on that as well. I mean, Kash Patel said he knew there was a list.
Yeah.
He had strong evidence. Bongino, whatever the hell his name is, Bongino said that he knew there was, prior Secret Service.
Yeah. And, but at the same time, what if they get in there and they go, oh shit, there it is. It's, we misplayed this.
Hey, I'm up for the idea that it had been gotten rid of a long time ago.
Right.
But I mean, I am going to die on.
And that's another thing.
Yeah.
What if Biden just came in there and destroyed everything?
Yeah,
We're not gonna talk about
possibility.
It. Who do you think? Is there a chance that Hunter Biden's in that shit? You know what I mean? He already pardoned him. What if he? All right, we'll just delete it. Just get rid of it. Shred it. Paper shredder. Go brrr. And get rid of all of it. And now these people come in, and now what would you do if you were Bondi and Bongino, and you get in here and you have these suspicions, but there literally is no evidence. Would you rather them just string us along, or would you rather have them go, sorry guys, we tried. Mm-hmm. This is what we do have. We thought there was more. Turns out it's not. Everything that we thought was more was really just videos that we can't release.
But are they saying it like that? You're telling me, and I see that, but they're not. They're deflecting.
I think Bongino,
they're belittling it now.
And I think that's where you see this rift where Bongino's threatening to leave.
Supposedly.
When this comes out, he might be gone. He might not.
Kash Patel supposedly, but then he put on X that he wasn't.
Yeah,
he's loyal to Trump.
But at the same time, like, what if they were told something, they go out and do it, and now Bondi set him up. I really think Bondi ran her fucking mouth is what happened. And
she's clearly on there saying it's on my desk.
And I think she was so caught up in her own vanity and getting these Fox News hits. She would rather be on TV than
disgusting. Man.
It is.
That's disgusting.
And I think that's why, if there is a rift between Bongino and her, that's the source of it. Is, listen, you can go be on Fox News, that's fine, but you put our reputation on the line by saying shit that you couldn't back up.
Right. And
we knew you couldn't back it up. And now we're trying to, do the right thing, and you fucked it up. There's no way to fix this. Yeah. I mean, because once again, right now, even if they released everything minus the videos, right? But if they released everything they ever had, it wouldn't be enough. There would be 10% that would go, okay, that's cool. But
I just don't know how Ghislaine Maxwell's in prison if Jeffrey Epstein's just a pedo who likes to have sex with minors.
At the same time,
I don't get that.
Okay, let's go to that.
We have 10,000 hours of footage. There's no one else in there.
All right, so I think we need to separate the footage and the actual things that Jeffrey Epstein, the physical acts Jeffrey Epstein.
I just don't see how one man could only be involved.
But if you look at what she was charged with, there were no third parties brought up in her conviction. Mm-hmm. It was literally her getting girls for Jeffrey Epstein. Okay. Have you ever known a guy who had a girl that was so in love or infatuated with them that they could do some really manipulative shit?
And I could get that's why she could be in prison currently right now.
Right.
But for how long?
I'm saying is there a scenario where she meets this guy, is captivated by him? Evidently he was very
I'm not saying
charming,
that's
whatever.
not what she was doing. She was helping.
Right.
I do get that.
But I'm saying I don't think it necessarily. I could see that she could traffic kids to get these girls.
That's what a lot of them do.
The original charges were that these girls, as young as 14, between 14 and 17, were brought in to give him a massage. They would bring him in numerous times, pay him well, and then eventually it would escalate to happy endings, right? That was the initial charge. And she facilitated that. You know, she knows that's what he likes.
I'm not saying she should be in prison. Her and him need to go into a wood chipper feet first.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is, it's just weird, man. We'll end it with that. It's fucking weird. And I'm sorry. I
agree.
I'm unfortunately off the Trump train.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to belittle you for being on it, because I think that your opinion does also have weight to it as well. I do understand that people can get wrapped up into these conspiracies and just lose their mind and never be satisfied. But then also on my side of it, there's a lot of these guys that are talking about some things that are very interesting and very eye-opening. And I
agree. I think transparency is the best thing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think it's gotten to the point where you're never going to satisfy people. And so once again,
I just don't think the government's very transparent.
It becomes a balancing act. Okay. Do we want to, let's say there's 4 people that have financial crimes or that maybe knew about Epstein and didn't say anything. Just that little thing alone is damning enough. Like, I think those people should be outed for sure. But he was so well connected. If you release all that information, how many of those people's reputations are going to be damaged?
Fuck their reputations. Yeah.
But if they didn't do anything wrong and they didn't know, you know what I mean? Like,
why would their reputations be then?
Just because they're associated with this. Like,
yeah, but if you didn't do anything and you were doing a business deal with them, I wouldn't accuse you.
You look at Alan Dershowitz. His name still gets brought up because he's a lawyer, Harvard professor, a Harvard law professor. I think he had some involvement in O.J. Simpson. He's a very prominent lawyer.
I'm not saying just because you're on the flight list to fucking Jeffrey Epstein's island. I'm not saying that makes you a pedo. But I want to know, with all the evidence you have, who the fuck was in that evidence? Like, who was in those videos?
But at the same time, like, do you protect? Is there some protection that those people get if there is no evidence that they did anything wrong? Just based on their reputation.
We can't protect you. I just don't think a large majority would fuck with you if you just happen to have a relationship with them, as in a business relationship, rather than you were actually, I think on film.
15 years ago, that might be the case.
But you're always going to get people that troll, man. You're always going to get people. If we were to, there's people do it to Trump. People do it to fucking all political figures or Hollywood. You're in the limelight.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just weird. You have a house with cameras all in it. It's weird that a lot of people have flown to that house. It's weird that you're being accused of having 10,000 hours of evidence of child molestation. I don't get that. And I think, honestly,
maybe my point of view comes because I don't want to believe it.
I get that too.
I just want to believe that there isn't a big giant sex ring.
Unfortunately, Blake, as I've gotten older and I've had people come out and tell me their stories, you'd be surprised how rampant that shit is.
Oh, I totally believe.
So that's why it's hard for me.
I've actually had an associate that was like, got busted for doing some really creepy shit, and you're like, fuck, dude. Like,
I've seen it at work. I've seen guys get caught. I had a fucking inspector one time. He got caught, and thank God, I never fucking liked that dude anyways. But like, he got arrested for it. So like, I know this shit goes on, and I've talked to more victims of it, and majority of the times, honestly, I've said this many times, it happens usually by a close
at the same time. Okay,
family member.
You take the Catholic Church for an example. Like, that was a thing that was kind of like.
Right, the
covered
priests,
up, right? But it was like, it was never like, I don't think it was ever a thing where this priest was talking to this priest on his methods. Maybe it was. I don't know.
Some of them got shuffled around.
They got shuffled around, but I think that was to protect the church. But still, but I don't think it was a network of pedophiles. I think it was just a access, cover up thing. You know what I mean? And I want to say that it's the same thing.
So what you're saying
that maybe there are 2 or 3 individuals, higher ups that are into that shit, but I just don't think that they're communicating and talking to each other, and that everybody knows and everybody's covering up for everybody. I really just don't. I just don't.
Maybe
I just don't. I hope our human evolution is to the point where that we still have a moral structure that people don't do that. But when it comes to government, yeah, maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I'm naive, but
and I get it, man. And I hope you're right and I'm wrong.
Before we get off here, what's your theory on JFK? Just nutshell.
What do I think happened?
Yeah,
I think Mossad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I think accidental shooting.
You think so?
I think Oswald and
you think accidental?
Yeah.
Like he accidentally fired a rifle?
No, I think Oswald was intending to kill him.
I don't know, man.
I think he fired 2 shots.
I think after I found out about them trying to, and this is just my opinion. I mean, it's not, and I'm not the smartest individual on this. I'd love to have somebody on to debate and tell me their side. Not even debate. Come on and tell me your side. But I just think it's fishy how their nuclear program was trying to be looked at and whatever audited. I don't know what you would call it. They refused. And then, like I said, the prime minister resigned with no statement. Yeah. And then he dies briefly after that. Now, I understand that they said that mob connections or there could have been a possibility of CIA or whatever it may be. It just, that seems more in line than the Italian mob.
Once again, I'm going to the what I think is...
Or the Lone Ranger. That's why I don't believe the Lone Ranger on the Trump thing. I don't think he was just went crazy.
Just from what I see of the evidence, I see Oswald fired 2 shots. There was 3 casings found. I don't think the one was a filler casing. It was just in the chamber, empty casing that they stuff in there to keep the chamber. And so I think he fired 2 shots. First one missed. Second one hit him in the throat. Magic bullet. I've seen the magic bullet theory and how it's explained and how people...
We've all seen that. It was on the National Geographic Channel.
Yeah,
early 2000s.
But it's, how they're offset and lower. And if you look at the path of the bullet, it wasn't this. It was really more of a straight shot at the angle to hit all those targets. Mm-hmm. What doesn't make sense to me is, okay, that's a full metal jacket round. It goes through Kennedy. It's maybe tumbles a little, and ends up going through several things because it's a full metal jacket. But at the same time, I see if it was a full metal jacket that hit him in the head, I don't see
much of his head being there.
Well, I just don't see it. I actually don't think it's going to get blown up like it did. Does that make sense? Like a full metal jacket round, I don't think is going to have the. I think it's more of a hollow.
The out ballistics.
Okay. I think that rings more of a hollow point or frangible bullet. So
is there a second shooter?
I think it's an accidental shooting. So I think Oswald shoots twice.
Oh, you think the driver shot him?
No, I think it's a guy behind. So there's a car following, and I think he hears shots, has an AR-15 style thing that they carry in the Secret Service cars. It's on the floorboard. He's sitting on the seat, on the top of the seat. It's convertible.
Yeah, what would they have had back then, I wonder?
Something like that. Like a semi-automatic.
Rifle, yeah.
It's on the floorboard, so he gets down, picks it up as the car is moving and probably accelerating as these shots. He gets up, goes to turn, accidentally fires, and hits Kennedy here and blows his head out.
That's the worst luck of your fucking life, bro.
But it just makes okay. So that, and then he dies.
Yeah.
And I just think that necessitates a cover up because the Secret Service is going, fuck, our guy just killed the president. Our whole job is to keep the president from getting shot. Not only did somebody shoot him, but then we killed him. We're the ones that finished him off.
Possibility.
I'll send you a documentary that's
no, it's a possibility for really sure.
Good. I just think it's the least amount of things, the least amount of steps to get from point A to point B. I really think it's easy to explain why Oswald had beef with Kennedy with his Cuban connections, communist. He went to the Soviet Union. He was advocating for Cuba. I think that's pretty easy to explain. Oswald's got motive, and now it's just, okay, what else has to happen to make these things go wrong?
Right.
If there's a conspiracy, if it's not just Oswald, if we're going to add another layer besides Oswald, what's the next layer of likelihood? And I just think that makes the most sense.
Could be, man.
All right.
Could be.
Sorry.
No, you're good. No, you're good. But I do want to end with this, though. Even though I'm no longer on this Trump train anymore, I still respect you.
Yeah.
Just like I respect Democrats and whatever they want to, I respect the individual. I may not agree, but I think we need to have more of this to where we can
who knows? He might do something that I can jump off the train. I don't know. I've jumped off trains in the past. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, and I've always respected you because I feel like you're very, you're trying to be objective about these things, and you're trying to weigh both sides, and
I listen. Yeah, I listen to a lot of sides. Yeah.
You're not a MAGA. That's it.
And I'm not a Fox News watcher. I watch a lot of different things.
Yeah,
I watch a lot of different levels. Right.
You got to compare.
I listen to a guy named Mark Halpern. Mark Halpern is a very inside DC Beltway political analyst. He has sources in both parties, and then he commentates on what he hears. Yeah. I listen to more of the influencer base, the punditry. And on both sides, I like to listen to what Democrats' arguments are.
Oh yeah.
For one, I think that's the best way to combat it. You see
that.
I
listen to guys like Destiny and
Assange. He's crazy.
Yeah, I know, but you have to be able to listen to them in order to hear their side,
or at least seek out their content, even if it's in clip form. We were talking about that. Like, at least hear segmented arguments where
sometimes they surprise you. Destiny's a very left-leaning individual, but very big supporter of Israel. So it blows my mind sometimes. Like, holy shit.
And then you listen to the more MAGA people, the likes of Steve Bannon. And, I get a very, very good mix. I would say that I do lean right on my content that I listen to.
Yeah. Well,
but a lot of the time,
conservative.
Yeah. And I listen to Bernie on Joe Rogan. I listen to that conversation. I'll listen to that stuff, but I'm not going to just watch CNN, all the time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, there's some we just can't really.
Yeah.
It's not even worth the time.
Right.
Yeah.
But even then, you look at Scott Jennings. He's big on Twitter, right? Because he's on that panel show and he just owns the libs. But when you get those clips, you at least get to see the Democrats' argument, and then you get to see him rebut it, right? And I think that's valuable that you still get that. You don't just totally shut off that whole other side. But
what it comes down to, stop hero worshiping. Don't be married to people. If they're doing right, they're doing right. If they're doing wrong, we got to discuss these things and figure it out. So thank you, Blake. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.